Hey Skyfares, and welcome to Aethercast, the Kharadron Overlords channel and podcast. But today we're talking all about this thing, the new GHB, the FAQ, the Battlescroll, basically all the changes that have happened
Everything
in the last week. Everything. We've got a lot of slides. Be ready. Joining me as always, my co-hosts, my Aether crew, Duard and Max, and our Thunderer from Down Under, Mr. Alexander Crawl.
Hi guys.
Hi guys.
Let's do this.
Hey.
Yes.
There's
no other news, is there?
Yeah. Strapping. Go to the toilet, get something to drink.
Is there any news other than the GHB? Please say no. We don't do rumor engines here. That's fine.
There's not much.
Cities.
Was there any cities? Yeah, they got their FOMO box, but it's gonna be a while, which means that the rest of the army is gonna be even further down the line.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard anything from Flesh Eaters, but they're supposed to be the next thing. We had these what they called regiments of renown in the Heartbringer book.
Oh yeah,
they looked decent. Like the Fire Slayer hero is good in Fire Slayers. I don't know if that battalion is good for KO.
There isn't a KO one, so I'm not interested.
Yeah, there isn't a KO one, but if there were, you couldn't play.
You can't take it. You have to, yeah.
Unless they make that hero a single hero, and which you could also play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another Fire Slayer hero. Do we really need another Fire Slayer?
No, but he's cool. He gives everyone run in charge, basically.
Okay.
Once per game, which is fun. But I mean, everyone you can fit in a 6-inch bubble, so not that much.
Not that many then.
Not that many, but you have a prayer, so you have potentially like 3 or 4 units that do it, which is fun.
Okay. Right, let's talk about some stuff then. The most important thing everyone wants to talk about: points changes. So they're mostly red, as we expected. Chemist went up 20. Navigator went up 15. Admiral went up 15, and Thunderers went up 25. Big ones, but Arcanauts went down 10.
Yeah. So that's nice.
So basically, these are the points that we already had after the winter FAQ for Navigator and Admiral and Arcanauts. Then they changed them back to what they were before that in the book, because the book went to printing before the FAQ, and now they went back to the FAQ. I'm not sure if the Chemist already was 100. I think so. Thunderers is the only real change. Yes, because everyone was playing Thunderers.
We knew that nerf was coming.
And we knew points were going to go up. 160, I don't know, maybe 150 would have done the trick. But
yeah, that's my feeling. I was shocked by 160. Well, not shocked, but I was disappointed because I thought maybe we'd get away with 150. And
yeah, they're going to come down then next time to 150. But what I don't understand is gun holders 170.
Yeah,
it's just I don't get it. Why? Ironclad 500. Okay.
Bring the boats down a little bit.
I
mean,
at least the frigate didn't go up.
Yeah. I half wondered if that would happen. But
that
and
maybe
haven't been too prevalent in lists at the moment. It has just mostly been the big Thunderer spam list that people have been having.
I mean, people play frigates even if it's to transport Thunderers. But the frigate, the consensus was the frigate was the winner of the new book, and it is very good. But I think 300 is fair because the shooting is mediocre. It's basically the utility. So, but
it's as good as what you put in it.
Yeah, but like 2 gun holders are not a frigate. It's just no. How? And you need a little extra teleporting unit. So 170. I don't know.
Change like do you think we're going to still see Thunder lists?
Not 35 because it just doesn't fit 1 point.
Yeah, the math doesn't work.
No.
So
And then I think we'll get to this later. We also had the change for the bridge.
I
It's
think-
still usable, but it's been nerfed a little bit.
I think
So I don't
15
know.
you'd still see. You'd still
Yeah,
see
15 in an
Thunderers.
ironclad is still decent. And then maybe a frigate with some other stuff.
yeah, the other thing is what I want to mention here is the heroes. It's not massive jumps on each of them, but it adds up.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 heroes,
That's
and
the thing.
That's 50 points, and then you add on any Thunderers, and my list went up 90 points, and it only had 10 Thunderers in, and I thought I had a built-in safety net where I could downgrade a dirigible suit to a foot engine master, but it doesn't. It's still 2010, so an 80-point safety net was enough. Max, your list for worlds went up 230.
230, but it was only Thunderers, so fair enough.
Yeah.
My other party boat lists, let me think. 2 Arcanauts, so that's minus 20. 10 Thunderers, so that's another 40. It was a 1940 or 1945, so there was some room. But with a chemist going up, navigator going up, admiral, no, it's definitely up more than 100 points. Yeah.
I want
So,
to
I don't know.
choose the event on the weekend, and that list only went up 15 points from 1985 to 2K. So
Okay. Because your list is just gun haulers and
my list
like
is
one
just
hero.
gun haulers.
Yeah.
It's just one navigator that went up,
Yeah.
and then 10 gun haulers. They are very good. I like them. I think they're good.
So if you're watching or listening in the future and you want to know what to play now that your Thunderers have gone up, you just need to buy 10 gun haulers.
Yeah. It's
Well,
the
eight
one
balloons
thing I
already.
don't have that many of.
Yeah.
Balloons, more than 40. Thunderers, I think like 45 now. Arcanauts, 40, maybe a few more because of the warband. So if gun hunters is the new ironclads, I have 2. Frigates, I have 3. So if gun hunters is the new thing, I only own 3, I think. So don't make me buy another.
I still haven't gotten around to actually building all my extra Thunderers, so I'm just gonna.
It's the mortal wounds in the movement phase. It's people don't expect the amount of mortal wounds that come out of 40 bomb dice.
I mean, 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
2s and 2s. No, we'll go over lists. List is another show. We're focusing on points changes.
Cool. So I think we mostly covered those. We don't need to worry how much. Looking at the endless spells, obviously we can't go through every single one. Max, you mentioned the bridge. It's had a slight nerf to the way it's set up because one part has to go wholly within 6 inches now.
Yeah.
Which is what it used to be a long time ago, I think.
Yes. It used to be like that, yeah.
So, and the second part is wholly within 18 inches, what it was. And now.
Which it also used to be if it wasn't empowered in cities, I think.
Yes.
Or generally empowered, yeah.
But the big thing is that units that. Well, I say the unit because only one unit in theory can cross it. The unit that crosses it can't issue or receive commands until the start of your next hero phase now.
Yeah, until the start of your next hero phase.
Yes.
So if it's the opponent's turn afterwards, like no unleash shell, no redeploy, no all-out defense.
Yeah.
Nah. No all-out attack in your turn. No.
That's a very long time.
It's and that's the one thing funders do not like is not being able to spend command points.
Yeah, and there's no battleship community either.
No rally.
No rally.
No. I don't like it.
Okay.
Not worth it.
That kind of puts the grave marker down for the second unit of Thunderers, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you run 1 in your ironclad, but you won't run the bridge really anymore.
Yeah, you could run another 10 in a frigate, maybe.
So if you spent a lot of time converting up a bridge, Yeah. I'm still going to
Well
finish
done.
mine because mine isn't finished yet. In
Okay.
theory, I've got some plastic to put on the inside of the rings to make magical effects. So I'm still going to do it. Okay.
Well-
Other notable endless spell changes: Prismatic Palisade.
That's scary for us.
Yeah. So it's got a range of 18 inches, cast on 7. After it's set up and at the start of every hero phase, you roll a dice for every unit within 6 inches. And on a 3+, that unit can't shoot that turn. And you add 3 inches to that range at the start of each battle round. So it's 6 inches and it's 9, and then it keeps getting bigger until it's gone.
Yeah. So since it happens at the start of the hero phase, if it's your turn, you need to immediately dispel this thing.
Yes.
Otherwise, your entire army can't shoot. Maybe.
Yes, because it doesn't matter if you move away from it. It's just like once you're affected by it,
Yeah.
you just can't shoot. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's really annoying.
a cunning fleet master could help with this. So once it's set up, you just move your boat somewhere else.
But it's
still.
yeah, and it's even if it doesn't affect you in your turn, in your opponent's turn, that means they're at least stopping you from unleashing hell.
Yeah, it's very good. And then cast on a 7, so you need an 8 to dispel it.
Yes, which spoiler alert is plausible.
It is plausible.
Yeah,
with these
absolutely.
new primal dice.
With new
That's
stuff.
true, yeah.
And
But
another
how-
interest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, go on.
but how likely do you think it's very like teched? Again, this is the anti-shooting option. How likely do you think this is going to be in teams? I can see it being used by certain armies a lot. In singles, I'm not sure. It's very
How many points is it?
choice.
I don't know because since they changed spell on the bottle, I just don't look at the points of endless spells anymore. Because we don't pay the points for it. It's not.
Hang on.
Look, is it?
Palisade. Misspelled Palisade. Prismatic Palisade. 40 points.
40. It's cheap.
Cheap.
Ooh, yeah. I think people will. Oh wait, but this is the old one.
The problem
Casting
is you
value
can
of
only
5.
use
This is weird.
one of.
Are you sure it's a casting value of 7? Because the app says 5.
Might have misread something.
I think this is the up-to-date version. Should have the ability start of each round. Yeah. No. Apparently 40 points and cast on 5. Well, if it's 40 points, yeah, I can see a few armies, just including this, versus shooting. Although shooting got nerfed anyway.
Yeah.
The problem is what you pick 3 endless spells. You only get 3 endless spells.
I mean, if you're like 50 points shy of 40, you just stick this in.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah, it depends whether you want to triumph or not.
I don't know if triumphs are that important unless you're kids.
Yeah.
I'd rather have protection, like my opponent's army not shoot, than a +1/+1.
I mean, if someone's getting bullied by shooting already, if they're facing a lot of shooting in their meta, they will take this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, be aware of it because it hurts.
It hurts, but you can. Oh, we'll get to the primal dice stuff.
Yeah, we can get rid of. Anyway. We can get rid of it. So.
Okay.
It's, and another notable one was Gemoanid's got a bit of a go up. Range of 8, moves 8. So you roll a dice for each unit passed over or within 1 inch of it after its move. On a 2+, the unit cannot issue or receive commands. This is the important bit because it did that before until the start of the next hero phase or next hero phase, as I got there. Next hero phase. So yeah, basically no more commands or no commands the whole turn.
Yeah, no redeploy, no nothing.
Yeah,
no inspiring presence, no unleash shell.
Yeah.
No strike first.
Yeah. No
From
Battlefield
Fires.
Community. No.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
Looks very good.
Anyway, that hits your boat. Oof, with everything inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not 2+, but 2+ is fairly reliable. So, are you tempted to use this one? Blocks all out because it's like
No.
you used to be a fan of Horrorghast, and this is Horrorghast on steroids.
The problem is this comes back and it fucks you over. And
Yeah.
it is wild the moment it gets out of the bottle. So it's just
So it
this
comes
is
back and
a
hits
huge
you.
liability for yourself.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okie dokie. Right. So, were there any endless spells that you guys spotted that I haven't got here that you thought were deserve mentioning?
Well, there's mentioning
Although-
also the Umbral spell portal change. So it needs to be set up within 1 inch, same as the bridge, and I think it needs to be set up within 1 inch of the caster, and only a caster within 1 inch can send in a spell through it. So basically, it needs to be either you set it up for the guy next to you, or you yourself need to cast through it.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 inches. So it got a bit less dangerous for us. Before you could see things like the Lore Seeker popping up in the middle of the battlefield, setting up and a spell portal for Teclis who's sitting on the other edge of the board, or Teclis would teleport a Cathalar and then she would do it. So that's not possible anymore.
Fringe tactic. What do you think of this? You take the Prismatic Palisade, so that when someone else does, you cast it on your turn. Then on their turn, you unbind it, so they can't cast it at you.
Not sure. Wasn't there an FAQ that everyone could cast one version of the spell?
Yeah, but if a version of the spell is unbound, no one can cast that spell in that turn.
Yeah, I need to check that. But...
It's like taking or take portals to stop someone from casting portals.
that's an expensive 80 points strategy.
It's free, isn't it? It's our spell in a bottle. It's free.
Yeah, but you're making sacrifices to get that spell in a bottle because you're immediately there with 4 drops.
A battalion of heroes to get in a battalion, to get an extra artifact, to get a spell bottle, to get a spell that then has no use 4 out of 5 matches because your opponent doesn't have a spell port.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Exactly.
Or potentially all of the matches.
No.
Your main artifact is going to be Voidstone Orb now. That's the one. If you're picking one artifact, it's Voidstone Orb.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's true. Okay. So that's the endless spells. So they're the things that you can put in your lists. Points, KO stuff. Let's start looking at some of the other important game-wide changes before we really get onto the GHP. So the Battlescroll changed basically the core rules. Coherency, basically it's now 6 models instead of 5 for
fantastic.
Where you have to be the difference between being in range of 1 model in the unit or 2 models in your unit.
Yeah, this is great for all these 3-man units when they were reinforced. It was just super annoying to keep coherency.
Yes. I want to say one thing.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
If Matt Barker is watching, eat it, because you told me they would never change this in an FAQ. They would never change a core rule like this in an FAQ. Well, they've done it, Matt.
They've done it, even with the next one. No, it's great. It's a bit troublesome for things like Skull Crushers, who have a big cavalry base, or even Gold Grunts, because now they take up a lot of space. Because now they can really string out sideways 6 of them. That's a huge footprint, and especially Skull Crushers with a 2-up save. And a +1 save or +2 save from some prayers and commands. Like if they can box you in and just sit there.
Yeah.
A lot of these big units are now going to be a lot scarier because they can all gap into combat as well, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good for engine riggers with 1 inch reach. So if you play 6 of them, everyone can get to hit without you doing a weird, zigzaggy setup, which is good. Maybe they'll see more play because it didn't go up in points, and no, actually everyone gets to hit.
Yeah.
When you play 6, you don't need to do the tricks with keep them in the boat and blah blah blah.
Which is good because
Combat KO.
one of the tricks you wanted to do involved a battalion that doesn't exist anymore.
Yes. True, that battalion is gone. Sometimes
Yes.
that was nice. Gotcha.
So, but yeah. So that's probably the best change for KO from the Battlescroll. Now on to one that's not good for KO. So Lookout Service changed. You know how last season we couldn't shoot heroes, but there was a battalion that let you. Well, now you basically can't shoot heroes, but there's no battalion anymore. So lookouts, if you're within 3 inches of the hero, they can't be targeted by missile weapons from more than 12 inches away. If they're next to the unit.
Basically, they're cruel boys. And it's 3 inches, so it's look out, sir. It's not the 1 inch rule anymore.
Yeah, because
last
much
easier
it was 1 inch.
Yeah, which sometimes your opponent misplaced or forgot.
Yes, because they're so used to lookout serving 3 inches, and then
3 inches is it's hard to miss. And yes, we can get within 9 with a fly high, but if that hero is within 9, if you fly high, then they just made a mistake.
I mean,
you should be
a lot of
3 inches behind someone.
A lot of our guns are 12-inch range, though. I'm not sure how bad this is. A lot of half the Thunder guns.
Super annoying because it also applies to unique heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gotrek and such.
Grinkrak and Gotrek and all those people.
I mean, last season I was using the Sharpshooters Battalion, and do you know how often I actually used it in games? Just very rarely. I had it, but I didn't actually use it very often. You shoot the units, and then
when you use funders, you shoot units. What I hate about this, and I hate it from the battalion, is gun haulers with their cool drill cannon. You couldn't shoot heroes, and now again you can't shoot heroes. It's just
the long range cannons on the ships. Yeah, that's
they have to still shoot monsters and such.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know how much this would change KO, because usually we shot the units, not heroes. But it just feels like a
it's worth pointing out it's not all heroes. It is the old rules for lookout service still apply about it being less than 10 wounds
and still not mounted.
Yes,
not mounted. So small heroes on horses do not count.
I mean, in theory, Brock's just got better because he can't be shot, and he could be shot last season.
Yeah, but if you shot at Brock, sure.
I mean,
it's bad for Sentinels. This rule, super bad.
Yes,
but they got shafted in a different way anyway.
Well, yeah,
with the Elon changes.
Yeah, I mean it's really good for Gotrek. I mean, of course you can still just avoid him, but
you can avoid him, but you cannot get within 12 and just use the burst grenade and then shoot him, because now you actually need to get within 9.
Doc are feeling it a little bit because they always had their snakes in a sharpshooters battalion. Now the snakes can't shoot anyone.
Did they? Most of them were 2-drop anyway, weren't they? Like the classic Doc. Not that you saw many of them anyway.
Not really, unfortunately. Doc are falling out of favor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess maybe it's not as bad as we should cry out. Yeah.
Okay. And Arcane Tome has changed
again.
Again, yes, because it's changed nearly as many times as bodyguard rules.
So is the change just you can now cast endless spells with the thing?
Yes.
You used to not be able to cast endless spells, and now you can.
Exactly. Now you can cast endless spells, and you become a Andorian Locus, but you cannot use the. But the Arcane Tome does not allow you to access the lore for Locus. So.
Yes, well, it lets you know the spells, but you can still only cast the other ones because it's
Yeah, like you can only
in theory
cast-
you know the spells, but that doesn't change the fact of what you're allowed to cast.
Yeah, it's
So
no, it makes you a
Yeah.
locus, which is annoying because it bans you from using the other artifacts, these nullstone thingies.
yeah, which
Yeah.
are
Whatever they're called.
adornments.
Adornments.
Mhm.
How many words can you find for artifact?
Mhm.
Trinkets. And but you cannot use the lore of the Primal Frost. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I mean, the
weird
important
one.
thing about Arcane Tome is you can still cast Mystic Shield, which is the thing.
I mean, you
That's
could
that's-
cast 2 spells with the extra rule, so a Mystic Shield
Yeah.
and an Arcane Bolt,
Mhm.
or you could unbind twice.
Mhm.
However,
Yeah.
if you give this to a navigator, I believe he still can only unbind once,
Yes.
because he already could unbind. There was an FAQ for that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's how useful that Arcane Tome
Shame
is.
you can't
be honest.
cast the lore spells. It'd be fun to put
Oh.
like to try and throw 46 mortal wounds out of the boat.
Well, on a 12.
Yeah, throw some primal dice at it.
Don't blow yourself up.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
well.
Arcane Tome, as we'll come to in a minute, there are some things with battle tactics and that it opens up. So
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, being a locus is good in some ways. Just being a locus. But,
okay. Oh, go ahead, Con.
But yeah, I don't know. We're good on battle tactics. KO are very book battle tactics being really tough. KO happy. Our book battle tactics are very easy. Very
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, we'll cover them in more details in a minute.
Or
Wait,
escape them.
sort of, although we've already talked about them. So realm rules. There's new realm rules. So wizard heroes with a wounds characteristic of 9 or less that are not unique gain the Antorian Locus keyword. So wizards special now. And at the start of the battle round, after priority, the player taking the second turn will pick one friendly hero on the battlefield. If the hero is an Antorian Locus, they can attempt to cast one extra spell in that round. And if they're not a Antorian Locus, they get an extra command point, but it can only be spent by that hero. So like the one you get from the heroic action, but another one.
But this one lasts for both turns.
Okay, that's yeah.
Because you get it once at the start of the round, and you can use it during the round.
Mm-hmm.
Which is okay. We get an extra command point.
Yeah, depending on the type of KO you're playing, you might have a lot of command points anyway. So
yep.
The new scripts, the new guys, the code right. Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Even less reason to take him now, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's not all the realm rules.
No,
because the realm rules was so much I had to do 2 slides. Because there's Primal Magic, which we sort of talked about last show, but it was all rumors, so we didn't have everything confirmed. So I tried to condense this down because there's a lot of text if I just wrote it all out how it is. So you can get Primal Magic dice. Yes, but I've done it in a sensible way, and not in like their rule legalese where they just write paragraphs. And they've not even done it in a logical order. So you can get Primal Magic dice. How do you get the dice? At the start of the round, both players roll a dice, and for each 4 plus.
No, at the start of the hero phase.
Oh,
every hero phase, so it'll happen twice.
Maybe I should have. Yes, maybe I should have. Maybe I should have.
Well, it's still correct at the round, but then you do it again.
Yeah.
So the start of
but anyway, both players roll a dice. Each 4 plus. Both players get a primal magic dice. So you could have 2 potentially. 50% of the time you'll have 2. 50% of the time you have 1. and then they are lost at the end of the round if they're not used. Is that definitely at the
Yes,
end of the round? Not the
that
end of
is
the turn?
correct. That
Okay.
is correct.
So potentially you could have 4 in the second turn of the round.
Yes.
If you didn't use them.
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to use them for? Well, when you're attempting to cast a spell, unbind or dispel, and not if you've used any rerolls, because you just can't use them if you've done anything that lets you reroll casting, unbinding, or dispels. You can choose to add a Primal Magic dice to the roll after you've rolled.
Yes, so you can
roll
roll,
2d6,
check. I need more. Add one of your dice. Check,
and then do it again.
Do it again
And
if it's
roll
not
more.
enough. Yeah.
And just keep going until either you suffer a miscast, or you run out of dice, or you go, oh well, I've got what I needed now. So
yes, so you finally cast that spell on a 16, and you're happy.
Yes, you potentially have rolled 6 dice, and you finally managed to roll a
7.
Well, not a 6, because that would have been a miscast, but okay.
So this is how we're going to unbind the Palisade, because you can throw these at unbinding endless spells. You just
dice.
go, I rolled just a 4. Hang on, let me just try this again. 10, 12, done. It's gone.
Yeah. Do you remember how good it was when we had the special triumph for the Navigator and you could roll 3d6?
Yeah.
But you had
and
to
then they took it away.
Yes, but then they gave it back. Do you remember when they gave it back as a triumph, Kron?
They gave us a reroll as a triumph, but they took away our 3d6.
The triumph was a reroll.
Oh,
and you had to announce it before you did the first roll, which was super
the point was you had to announce it before. But this is the fact this is afterwards is so powerful.
Yeah, but it works the other way. So it makes casting more powerful, but it makes unbinding even more powerful because there's no downside to using these for unbinds.
So your opponent will have the same amount as you, if not maybe more if they take the Wizard Battalion
or the command trait.
Yeah. They will also have 1,000,000 dice. So they're going to cast
bonuses
big
to cast as well.
And they'll have bonuses to cast to start with,
They're going to cast big, and you're going to dispel big. The big thing I think this affects is endless spells aren't going to stick around for more than a turn.
Like if you want to get rid of an endless spell, you can do it.
Yeah.
And what this does is this turns the opponent's hero phase, not your hero phase, unless you take Arcane Tome. It turns it into a mini game of, am I going to use these or aren't I?
If you've ever played old fantasy, this feels a lot like the Magic system.
Yes. Where you had, depending how many wizards you had, X amount of dice pools, and you could keep using them to cast a spell. I'm going to use 4 dice to try this spell out of my 9.
And then if you double 6, it auto casts just like back then.
Yes. The other thing is it means that you can't just go to the toilet or go and get a drink or something while your opponent's doing like 1,000,000 spells, because you actually have to pay attention. Okay, so there's 2 other things. There's Primal Miscasts, which is if you've used a Primal Magic dice, at least one. If it's used for casting, if 2 or more of the dice have a 1, the caster suffers a primal miscast instead of a miscast. The spell fails, and the caster suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. So this story had an FAQ, because in the GHB it says if you roll a double, but it's what they said is if at least 2 or more of the dice are a 1.
So that's the original dice and the primal dice combined. So basically, if your original dice is a 1 and a 5, you have to be very careful about throwing in those primal dice, because the moment one of those shows a 1.
Because there's an important thing about this that they've confirmed with the FAQs is that primal dice are basically modifiers.
Yes, and because the GHB says the unmodified casting roll includes a double 1. So basically, the first one.
But now they've changed it. They've got rid of the unmodified bit, and they changed it, got rid of the double bit, because that's confusing.
So if during all these dice rolling, there's a double 1s at some point, it's a miscast. and the dice you use are modifiers, which is important because many spells have extra effects on the unmodified roll of X.
There's also an artifact that mentions unmodified, which a lot of people think is good, but they haven't FAQ'd that to not be unmodified, so it's not as good as it originally sounds, which we'll get to in a bit. But basically, yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
But it makes the Warsong Revenant not as good as you think.
Yeah, everyone was really
this
excited
casting
about.
value doesn't get to like 20 to roll 20 dice to cause mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Soul Blight don't auto cast everything on a 9+ now to get the extra effect.
Yeah. And it also basically means like if their initial casting roll was like a 1 and something, then they're like, shit, do I actually want to use an extra primal dice? Or
which makes sense. It should be, there should be some risk to it.
Yeah.
And the risk is big. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is supercasts, which is a term I made up because I needed a heading, because they didn't give it a term. But the other thing is if you get more than 1/1, if you get more than 1/6 when you're using Primal Magic dice, then the spell is successfully cast and can't be unbound.
So basically, if I originally cast on a 12 and then I just throw a magic dice in there, it becomes super.
Yeah.
Because I already have 2 6s on my initial dice. I just throw, I'll just throw this in.
If your initial one was a double 6, it wouldn't be, but yeah.
As a Zench player, I was very excited until they said you can't put primal dice in after you use Destiny dice, so you can't auto 12 it and then roll.
What about the Load of changing the lowest
that
dice
you
to
can.
the biggest?
That you can.
If I roll 1 6 in it, it automatically becomes super because he's going to turn the other one to a 6 and then just add a primal dice and boom, cannot unbind. Not that you could unbind the 13 in the first place.
The other important thing about both primal miscast and the supercast thing is in both cases the caster can't attempt to cast any more spells that phase.
Ooh.
I didn't see that part.
And both players receive 1 primal dice.
Yes, for the supercast, but not for the primal miscast.
Yeah. Also, the thing with the miscast is it's not just you getting mortal wounds, but everyone within 3 inches gets another D3.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like a explosion. And then if you play that battle plan where when wizards die in a 4+, everyone gets mortal wounds, you get an extra mortal wounds.
Does everyone around get D3 plus 3?
No, just everyone gets D3, and the caster gets D3 plus 3.
Okay. Because if they all got D3 plus 3, it'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So if you supercast, you can't cast any more spells?
No.
Oh. Okay, so if the Lord of Change rolls a double 6, you don't put a primal dice in.
No.
Unless
Techless does it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna." No.
Techless cannot use primal dice because he doesn't roll. He just says it's a 10.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Which is actually a lot easier to unbind now. You're like, 10, okay, he'll only roll 4 dice at it.
Well, even when he does his, I'm going to cast it on a 12 with his 1 spell.
Yeah.
When he does that, you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to throw 4 dice at that. And
the only thing why he's good is because he can auto bind.
Yeah.
But his casting just got much less reliable.
So this is why we said Voice Stone Orb is good, because someone throws 4 dice at something, you go, right, okay, well, I'm going to auto unbind that. I don't care that you've just cast it on like a 13 or something.
Yeah.
And then
Woodstone Orb is just.
And then afterwards, if they've got more spells to cast, then you use your Primal Magic dice on their other spells that they cast with just 2d6.
If you have more unbinds,
yeah.
So heroic willpower will be very.
Oh yeah, well, like every turn, every opponent's turn,
every turn,
willpower.
Willpower.
Yeah. So that's
that 1 extra command point start of the round comes in handy because you don't need the heroic.
You don't need to try and roll a 4+ to get a CP.
And that's why we have a code right. There you go.
Yes.
Boom! It all comes together at the end.
So this is all a bit crazy, but I think it generally favors unbinding more, which is good for
there's
us.
no risk.
Yeah, because you can't.
It makes
you can't
your
roll double
I'm
one
gonna
on
heroic willpower because maybe I can stop that one spell if I'm
Mhm.
lucky. Becomes much more powerful now.
Yeah, because
I can
before
roll 46 and I don't care. I just need to stop that one spell.
Yeah. Before it was often like, oh well, I could heroic willpower, but you're going to be casting with modifiers, and I'm going to be unbind without modifiers. What's the point? So
Exactly.
now I think that like when you're up against spellcasters, there's actually going to be some interaction, which is good.
Yes.
Mhm.
So heroic willpower
Although-
and a navigator and a void
The
stone.
people with the spellcasters might not think so. they might get a bit annoyed with it, but I think this is going to be good. I think this is going to be fun.
It's gonna be fun, and I don't know if going super heavy on the super dice and having all the spellcasters is the way to go.
Okay, let's move on then to Nullstone Adornments.
Yeah, this is the reason why we don't take an Arcane Tome.
So these are unique enhancements you can only have if you have no wizards or units that can cast spells. Now in the GXP it says cast spells in the same manner as a wizard. However,
So
in the
no.
FAQ, it's been
change it.
clarified to say it in that spell in a bottle would count for that.
Yep.
So even though they say in the same manner as a wizard, they basically just mean you just can't cast spells. Full stop.
So if you take spell bottle, you cannot have these.
Yeah. And if you take Arcane Tome, you can't have these.
Yeah.
So there's a direct trade-off here.
And if you take an encounter, you can have these.
Yes, if you take an encounter, you can't have these. And they, even though they're not artifacts, they can't be given to a hero with an artifact of power, and you can't duplicate them.
And not to a ally anyway. So they take up an artifact slot on the hero, basically.
Yeah, so you can't stack this with Voidstone Orb on the same navigator, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's not a aspect.
And you can't give this to allies?
No, because allies cannot have enhancements.
Yeah.
Dang.
Just the same way that allies can't have law spells.
Hoping to give this to a Rune Lord, but...
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Not since he's not a collision anymore.
Okay. So the first one is the hand-carved Nullstone icon, which basically lets the bearer attempt to unbind or dispel. However, it only lets you dispel in the enemy hero phase. Doesn't let you dispel in your hero phase.
Which is good.
Which
is very good. Because heroic willpower only allows you to dispel in your hero phase, not in the enemy.
Yeah.
It is very important because if they have let's say you have an endless spell, but then you wouldn't have adornments.
Yes, but it's important because a lot of things that let you unbind or dispel just let you flat out unbind or dispel. And you could normally, if you're a wizard, you can dispel in both hero phases.
Yeah. The thing is, heroic willpower only lets you do it in dispel in your phase and unbind in the enemy phase, and now you can do this. Changes the timing, which is good.
However, that's not all for this, because each time the bearer of this successfully unbinds a spell or dispels and end the spell, that means they can do it again. They get an extra attempt that phase.
Yes. Now the thing is, Kron, what you wanted to do is give this a Rune Lord. You wouldn't get the +2 on the second time.
Oh.
Plus, he cannot do this because he can already unbind like a wizard. So it wouldn't work. There was an FAQ back in the last winter.
But what's interesting about this is if you take into account the primal dice, you can potentially unbind once with 3d6, and then I've successfully unbound with 3d6, and then you can do it again for your opponent's next spell with 3d6 if you had 2 primal dice.
Yep. It's very good. It's if you have no magic, this is a handy one.
Yeah, and
I think that'll be the to-go-to one that a lot of people pick.
Yes,
the Nullstone icon.
I think a lot of people are liking this next one, which is called the Pouch of Null Dust. However, that's because they might not be aware so much of the FAQ.
Unmodified.
Yes, so because it's once per battle at the start of the hero phase.
They forgot to change this.
Basically they FAQ'd everything and forgot this.
Yeah,
one.
they forgot this.
So it's once per battle at the start of the hero phase. You can make an unmodified casting rolls in that phase if they include either a double 1, 2, or 3, will count as miscast or primal miscast, rather than just double ones.
Yeah.
But it's unmodified, and the primal dice count as modified. So if they're using, say, 4d6 because they've added 2 primal dice, you don't count any of the rolls for the primal dice to see if they're doubles.
Yeah, it's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, it's not what they want it to do because they've
Yeah, they
now
could
messed it up by
clearly
making them modifiers.
So the idea was if
they say primal miscasts in
within
there.
all this, if you
Yes.
add it's just if you add in primal dice and along all these dice, there's a double 2 1s, 2 2s, or 2 3s. It's a miscast, or it's a primal miscast. It is very strong.
Out.
The thing I don't like is once per battle,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to declare it at the start of the hero phase. So that hero phase, your opponent could say, okay, I'm not just gonna cast with any primal dice this turn. I'm gonna sit this turn out, let you use that, and then do my super magic next turn. So that's a bit unfortunate. Yeah, on a 5+, all other spells are dispelled. It's a nice.
The other thing it does
5+
is when you use this, every endless spell on the battlefield, you roll a dice for each one, and on a 5+, they're dispelled.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's a nice to have. It's a nice bonus, but I wouldn't get this for that.
No. How do you feel about this if they fix it so that it works with the primal dice? And
much better if you can stop that one turn of super magic before you go in some matches. However, I don't like the once per battle declared before your opponent does anything.
Well, it's not before they do anything, because if it's in your opponent's turn, remember, they actually their start of hero phase stuff first, including choosing a battle tactic. So you save this for the turn where they choose a battle tactic, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is make sure you cast a spell and don't have any spells.
Which is going to be the first turn.
Yeah, so...
and they don't need to use a magic dice. They can just do this from back in the corner and say, out of 30 inches, I'll just do this battle tactic first turn. Boom, here we go. Mystic Shield, 5+, I made it. Thank you.
This is more your fun. This is more your fun artifact. Like
it would be more powerful if it were like an 18-inch bubble, which was always on. So everyone within 18 inches of this, if you cast double 1s, 2s, and 3s, miscast, that would be super strong. But it's not as good as you think it is.
And the next one is the polished Nullstone Pebble. So when the bearer is picked as the target of a spell or the abilities of an endless spell, on a 4+, the caster must pick another unit within 3 inches and within range of the spell to be the target. So your opponent picks. If no other units are eligible, so not in range, the spell or ability is ignored instead. So this is really good if the bearer is not running around next to units.
Yeah,
but he wants to move in
which is bad for him because then he does benefit.
Because then he can be shot.
Yeah,
like it's not even a 4+ spell ignore. Like, couldn't they just make it a 4+ spell ignore? So many units of spell ignores now.
It is a 4+ spell ignore. Plus,
if you keep away from your other
3
units.
inches.
Yeah, if you otherwise you throw it into another unit that who will take it. Like,
what you can do is have your hero at the front, have your unit behind him within 3 inches, so he gets lookout, sir. Now the spell targets the hero. You say, no, you need to on a 4+, you need to target the unit, but the unit is not in spell range because it's 2.9 inches further back. But it requires a lot of measurement and placing, and
our heroes usually in boats anyway.
Yeah. Or what you do is you have a very survivable hero, and you just throw that into your enemy, and then it means that they have to pick on a 4+. They have to pick one of their own units.
Like, I think this would be better on something like a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon.
Yeah, but he can't take it because he's a wizard.
Oh yeah, true.
Take the
Fire Slayer Magmadroth, maybe. Okay, on them.
But anyway, the first one's a good one, really.
Yeah, I would not take this for KO. Definitely the first one.
Yeah.
You take the first one and you don't give it. You give it to someone that's not an.
If they fix the second one, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because it just gives you more unbinds, and
Yep.
you can actually do something with those unbinds now. So
Yeah, and I mean, if you unbind with 3d6, it's better than a 4+ maybe spell ignore. Because you
So
do not bind spell.
effectively now, when you're list building, you're choosing between taking one of these, or Arcane Tome, or Spell in a Bottle,
Or an encounter.
or an encounter, because you can't have this and those things. So now, if you want to take Spell in a Bottle, there's actually a bit more of a trade-off. You lose something that you would otherwise get for free.
Yep.
Same with Arcane Tome. Cool. Next, Laws of the Primal Frost, which we'll go through very quickly because
we cannot access these.
Yes, the Antorian locusts only, so Teclis and Marathi and stuff. They're not casting these; they can't. It's only little foot wizards, and it's instead of picking from one of their own laws. So they would have to pick one of these, and they don't get to have these as well as a spell from their own law.
No, so higher drops to get an additional spell enhancement could be seen a lot. Yeah.
Maybe.
Tzeentch has some nice ways to get around this. A lot of their units just have the entire spell lore on their war scroll, so they just pick this.
Yeah.
Like birds and gaunt summoners.
Well, the bird cannot choose this. Too many wounds. He's not a locust.
Yeah, because it's less than 10 wounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we covered Hoarfrost in the last show. That's one that was in a Warcom article. It's the one where you get to make either your hit, wound, or rend characteristic, whatever your D3 roll was.
And
so
I believe
really
they FAQ'd this that you cannot modify this value further.
No, they did.
But it means like Skaven or Gits, they hit on 2s, or they have rend 3 now with their 50 attacks.
Yeah. So
it's interesting because this changes a value of a characteristic, and then usually you could still add modifiers. But the FAQ specific says in this case, no, you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because they realize it would be broken.
Yeah, because there's easy ways to add +3 rend.
Yeah.
Although Fire Slayers cannot access this spell. So.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that one. Next one is Rupture, which casts on a 10, which would normally be difficult, but with Primal Dice, not so much.
Yeah, who cares?
As a range of 18 inches, you pick one predatory endless spell or one incarnate, and it immediately becomes wild and can't be picked to be controlled or bonded for the rest of the battle.
Yeah, so like I know what they probably want this to be used to like unbind endless spells and make them wild, but all it's going to be used for is to make incarnates unbound and then eat their own endless spells without killing your wizard. That's all this is going to be used for.
It's also an easy way to get a battle tactic. Well, say easy. It's got a roll of 10.
So you, and I don't know how many incarnates you've seen lately, or not seen many. They might be more interesting. Maybe there's a new one in the new books coming in these narrative books. Maybe there's a new incarnate. So that's somewhere. The thing is, with the endless spell becomes wild. So what? The opponent is gonna dispel it and recast it the next turn, and it's not wild. So it's just why?
Yeah,
it's I don't know.
Yeah, or you could have just dispelled the endless spell. I guess it means if it's your turn, you get to move it. So you
it becomes wild.
And then you get to move it in your turn.
All the big magic armies. So it used to be like the Tzeentch thing to summon incarnate, kill your wizard, and then have it eat an endless spell. Now Lumineth and Seraphon will do it too.
Yeah, I think there's play with the endless spells, because if someone leaves one too close to their own units, thinking, "Oh, that's safe because only I get to move it," then you cast this spell, and then you get to move it over their own endless spell over their army.
Yeah, true. You'd get one turn of moving it because they move at the end of the hero phase, and you cast this during the hero phase.
Yeah, it is. No,
it's mostly going to be used for incarnates.
Yeah.
I mean, the opponent casts a spell. It's your turn. oh, this sun's gonna move. Maybe damage me at the end of my turn. Okay, let's cast this to move it. But it's like you would pick this maybe as a second spell, like in case I need it, I can use it. No, you wouldn't. You just pick Power Frost. No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. True.
useless.
Unless you. Yeah. And then Merciless Blizzard casts on a 12 and has a range of 12 inches. So you pick one enemy unit to suffer 46 mortal wounds, but for every one you roll, the caster suffers 3 mortal wounds that can't be negated.
This is a very fun spell.
Yeah.
And this one has a special thing about it that says that the range can't be modified or measured from another model. So you can't do it through the spell portal or,
or Archon adding 6 inches.
Yeah.
You can't do that stuff. It is 12 inches and stop trying to get around it, basically.
Yeah. This is almost a bit like giving everyone a slightly longer range Hand of Dust. But with...
This is especially good on wizards who inherently have pluses to cast.
Yeah.
And can teleport.
Yeah. On wizards that can teleport, this is going to be big. They teleport the wizard up, they kill a unit, essentially.
It's like a little hand grenade you can throw out. It's like, since I've been playing it, so that's why I'm hitting this multiple times. It's this Soulblight. There's an artifact, gives you +2 to casting, but you can't move, charge. The hero needs to stand still. However, that subfaction has a heroic action where you can teleport the start of the phase. So you teleport the hero 9 inches away. Then you say, +2 to cast, maybe +3 because there's a corpse card somewhere nearby. Then you use four dice, whatever, go for it, and then you select someone 3 inches behind the screen. Say, you over there.
You're dead.
46 mortal wounds. I mean, for each one, which means one's on the 46 row.
Yes.
So D3 mortal wounds. Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Who cares? And then you just blow something up with 40 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I use this.
I mean, on average, it's going to do 14 mortal wounds or something.
Yeah,
isn't it? So.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it will.
That's gonna kill
something.
Most big things.
And that's on average. It will spike at times and do a lot more.
This is like the volley gun. Like, how many times did you shoot 22 shots with your volley gun?
Oh, I was very good at volley gun rolling.
Well, oh, that means I should definitely never use this thing.
Yeah,
there have been times where I've
five mortal wounds.
Yes, so here's 6 mortal wounds from my wizard that I just teleported. Okay.
Slan will be able to teleport and shoot this out at someone. And I used a Gaunt Summoner and the new Warcry, the new Underworld's Warband who now has a teleport spell in Tzeentch to throw this out. And then went, oh look, Destiny dice say 12. Done.
Yeah. And then he goes, 46 on it.
Yeah. Then he dies the next turn because he's a 5-wound wizard with a 6-up save, and they just mob him. But he did his bit.
I think the long and the short of these spell laws is that people are going to have more tools to make units really good at fighting you in melee, which we don't often want them to charge us and fight us in melee anyway. And you need to screen very well, because wizards might teleport and do 14 or 15 mortal wounds to something very important like a flying ship or your heroes.
This is... Oh, Teclis cannot use this. Never mind.
Yeah.
Would be fun on him.
One
spell, 12, boom. 46 mortals.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you can unbind these things as well, then it helps.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, KO aren't going to be taking these, but you need to protect
We
yourself
spent
from these.
10 minutes on something we can't use. Yeah.
Okay.
Usually,
command traits. These command traits are for Antorian Locusts only.
Okay. Next.
So the only way you can get these, you can use these in KO if you have Arcane Tome on your general.
Sure, but
yes,
they're not good enough that you're going to waste an artifact to do it.
Yeah, because
so,
Shaman, he can't cast the spells, even he knows everything.
They're
yes,
okay.
but
Like-
potentially it means your opponent could have a wizard that knows all three of those spells we just talked about.
Although only 2 are good. So yeah.
Either Blizzard, at the start of the hero phase, if the general's on the battlefield, on a 5+, you gain a primal dice.
This is
So
good.
people might take this to try and get extra primal dice.
This is good for you
yes.
and our opponents, yeah.
Yeah. Chill to the bone. Once per battle, the general suffers a miscast or primal miscast. You can roll a dice on a 3+. They can ignore the effects of that miscast or primal miscast. And I think this is really good because, if you're suffering D3 plus 3 mortal wounds because if your opponent's if you're planning on trying to cast a lot with primal dice, having protection against it's good. It's not good for KO, but I think people will take it.
And this only works on one guy.
Yes.
So you need to make an
Doesn't
Andorian
stop the
logo
whole
with your
exploding
general,
thing.
which you might not want to do. It's one of your 4 casters, and it's a 3+, so you could still fail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. If you don't have any other good command traits. Sure.
Yeah.
But I'd actually rather have Deep Blizzard.
Yeah, and the other thing is you've got the command trait to re-roll casting rolls still exists. So that's a good
but then
one.
you cannot use
primal dice. But yeah, there was a commonly chosen one. And the last one is Eater of Magic. Each time the general successfully unbinds a spell on a 5+, the caster no longer knows that spell and may not cast it for the rest of the battle.
And that
is really good.
That is very good.
Because imagine you take Arcane Tome, so you can cast Mystic Shield. They unbind it, and it's like, okay, you can't cast Mystic Shield the rest of the battle.
No, you stop that caster casting an endless spell for the rest of the battle.
Yeah.
Well, stop the
you just forgot.
Yeah.
Like Cloak goes, I'm going to cast my microwave spell, and you're like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, shit.
Although, he's going to cast him on +50. So.
Yeah, the Mystic Shield example was for KO. For everyone, against every other army, it's like, you're going to pick a more important but it's every spell you successfully unbind. So if you can unbind multiple spells, and if they have this paired with the other thing that gives them extra unbind attempts. Oh no, because they can't have that because then never mind. They can't have the Nullstone things.
No, because then they're a locus.
Yes.
This is crazy, I think, on the Curse Link. Because if he unbinds, he learns a spell.
That's right.
Oh, the spell.
That doesn't feel bad. You're like,
you just forgot your spell.
Look at me.
I know the spell now.
Yes.
I'm gonna cast that spell, and you just forgot. You just forgot Warfrost. I learned it. Free. Let's go.
Oh, that's great.
But generally, I don't think we need to worry about these because they're not going to affect us.
The interesting one is Eye of the Blizzard because only you gaining extra dice, not your opponent.
Yes.
So it puts you at an advantage.
Yes.
I've never wanted like a Zinch cast more than now, really, to just talk about Zinch in this GFC, but unfortunately,
someone should be doing it somewhere.
I can hook you up with Toby. You can. You have a Zinch show.
Right. So, battalions. There's 2 battalions, not 3 this time. The first one is Antorian Acolytes, which is 2 to 3 champions, which is the heroes.
The locus.
10 wounds or less, or whatever.
Yeah, basically you need 2 or 3 loci.
But they don't have to be Antorian locus.
No, they have to be.
Oh, do they?
If they're 2 units from this battalion.
Oh, yes, but they don't have to be Antorian locus to be in the battalion. But if they are,
but the effect only happens if you have 2 or more. So you could have 2 locus and another dude.
Yes.
Still.
If you wanted to fill it out. Yeah, it's no good for KO.
Can you put 2 encounters in there? Yes.
Yes. You can put 2 encounters
2 encounters and a chemist.
Yeah.
Or 2 encounters and a navigator.
Yes.
And you get extra Primal Magic dice for your navigator to unbind.
Yeah.
And it's on a 3+, they can get extra Primal Magic dice. So potentially you're going to go into games.
You gain it, not your opponent. So
yes, you're going to go into games. Yes.
That's so you have a potential of having 6 primal dice on the second turn.
So you have 4, 5, 6 plus the 1 from the command trait, 7. Is that once per round or once per?
Mhm.
So this is where you're starting to get into that
That's out of
old
your hero
fantasy.
phase. So you could have 7.
That old
free
fantasy
auto
where you have big
and free
dice
auto
pools.
unbinds.
I think realistically, though, we're not taking this for KO. So the reality is, KO are going to be going against some armies. They're going to have more primal dice than you. It's what you just need
Depends.
to know.
No,
Depends if
honestly,
you want to take
thinking
2
about this,
Incantors in
if
every
you take
KO
2
list.
Incantors and then Voidstone Orb, and you don't
Yeah.
care about a Warlord Battalion or whatever, I mean,
That's
you
how
have
you-
free auto unbinds, and you have more dice than your opponent.
That's how you win against Seraphon.
Like, you have 4 guaranteed unbinds per turn once,
Yeah.
and then you spend all your auto unbinds, but still.
And then you have to shoot the
And
slot
then
real quick.
yeah, you can't have the. I was going to say
No, you cannot have the icon. But
no, because the other thing is you do is you can just have the null. Don't do all that stuff. Have that nullstone thing where you get extra unbinds, and you do an unbind with. You can
With
do like
less
2
dice.
unbinds with 3d6 at. Well, you got still doing an unbind with 3d6. That's still good.
How many points
Or
is an
1
Incantor?
with 4d6.
100 something, 120.
Oh.
Maybe
Ooh.
maybe he went
then you get
down
to be
though,
one drop.
because everything went down.
Could the Incantor learn those?
No, he's
those
an ally.
No,
spells?
because he's an ally. So,
Lame.
why
The
Max
Incantor
reads
is
whatever
still
he's reading.
120.
The other battalion is basically you're going to go and be wizard hunters. So you have 1 champion, 1 to 2 in infantry, and you optionally you can have a behemoth as well. And this battalion can't include wizards.
No.
Each time a unit from this battalion is picked to fight, it can go on a wizard hunt. If you go on a wizard hunt, you get to pick 1 melee weapon profile for the unit. Until the end of that phase, you get to add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that weapon, but all of their attacks must target an enemy wizard.
Any wizard, not just Locus. Any wizard.
Any wizard.
So Archeon and so on.
Vampire Lords and Zombie Dragons,
Yeah. Anyone with an arcane tome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's melee weapons. So hey, Ender Riggers. In Nar with Brock +2 attacks. Interesting. If you have the slots for battalion and you don't care about drops. What I like is you declare this when they are picked to fight. So
yes,
not start of turn, because then your opponent knows where you're gonna go, what's gonna happen. So that's good. I mean, you can do minimum 1 hero and 1 unit. So if you have a hero and a unit left, sure, why not? So Brock, and I know he's unique. It doesn't work.
So Brock can go in this.
A unit. No, he's not. He's a unique hero. He cannot be the champion in this. Battalion.
No.
There's nothing stopping unique heroes. They don't need to be an Antorian Locus. They just have to be.
Yes, but if you read the
hero
sidebar, with a hero with a wounds characteristic of less than 10 that does not have a mount that is not unique.
Oh,
if they change that.
Oh, I don't know, but that's what it says here.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, it is.
That's annoying that they've made these battalions work differently to the other ones.
And this won't be as oppressive as bounty hunters. So it's not like the battalion exists now. Now no one's going to take wizards. I think this is a good middle ground. So we've got a bit of an anti-wizard battalion, but it's not going to like with with Galatian veterans go. I guess we're never going to take Galatian veterans then in any meaningful capacity because this battalion.
Actually, I like in a party boat. Your Engine Master and Enrigas or Sky Wardens in Zon. You just say, hey, in case I encounter a wizard, I'm just going to do extra damage. Which is great.
Yes, because they're given a different name. It's a champion, not a sub-commander. That's why they can't be unique.
Just the same.
So it's the same thing, but the difference between champion and sub-commander is that they're not unique.
Yeah, okay.
Can we only have 1 of each of these?
You can include any of the following core battalions in your army, blah, blah, blah. You cannot include the same core battalion from those shown below more than once in your army. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's
standard GHB, only 1 then.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, these are interesting, but they're fighting
Both
against being
could
one
be
drop
used.
or getting extra artifacts. So
Yes, but if you're going anti-magic, I do
Mhm.
not dislike the acolytes. And if you're going, you can do both. I mean, if you go party boat, why not add a wizard finder
Mhm.
to just guarantee some extra damage if you encounter a wizard?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's few wizards out there.
Yeah, it depends. It depends how the meta evolves, and
Yeah.
you see a lot of people taking arcane tome and stuff because they want to be casting all these spells and that. Then
Yes,
you
but
get more use
then
out
they
of it.
put it on like small stupid wizards, like the small characters, and you don't want to spend all your attacks, melee attacks on those. But I'm thinking about Archeons, Glotkin, great unclean ones, like the big demons, wizards. Who else? Alariel, Morathi, although she can only take 3 damage anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many
But,
attacks you want.
Is the guy on a Star Drake a wizard? I'm not sure. Frondis is a wizard, so like stuff like that. Like if you encounter now, let's go. We don't know the new
big-
facts or the new Terrorgeist, what he's gonna look like. Stuff like that. Zombie dragons, yeah. There's a few big wizards.
There's some things you could do with these.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah. But they're going to be, particularly the second one, it's going to be situational, whether it's helpful. So,
yeah.
Okay. Battle tactics. So we covered everything you can use for building lists. What are you going to do with your lists? Battle tactics and
these are actually tough. These ones.
Yeah, we talked about these in the last show with the rumors for them. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. Do you lose any attacks that aren't in range of a wizard? So, Martin, you can only get those extra attacks if all of your attacks target the wizard. So, if you don't put all of your attacks into the wizard, you don't get any extra attacks at all.
Yeah, all the unit, not everyone in the battalion, so the hero could still find someone else.
Yeah, because you do it when the unit fights.
Yeah.
So you pick with one unit to fight and go, okay, well, they're going to put all their attacks into wizard and do this, and then this other guy's just going to shoot something else. So,
not shoot melee. It's only melee.
Yeah, melee. Sorry, yeah.
It's we're shooting.
Yeah, it would be really good. Battle tactics. I don't think there's any real
last time
difference to them. Oh, the only thing is we know that magical dominance is the important one. No, magical.
Yeah, magical dominance is the one. Is the round one. Everyone's gonna do this. Sit in a corner, cast a spell. Thank you.
Well, the important thing about this for KO is we didn't know about this last week or whenever 2 weeks ago, whenever the show was. Okay. It says a friendly wizard cast one on what spell, so you can't just use spell in a bottle and get a free battle tactic.
Yes.
That's the important thing.
So this is what I found in my game. This is an easy one you can do. All the other ones are more difficult.
Yes, and if you take Arcane Tome, it basically gives you this battle tactic as well, in theory.
Correct.
Which
is worth considering, although KO, as Kron has alluded at the beginning, we have good ones.
There's a question in the chat. Do Lumineth Realms count as wizards when the champion in a unit is alive? So they don't count as a wizard unit, so it depends on specifically what you're asking about. Do you mean for getting the extra attacks for the battalion? In which case, I think it says when you target a wizard unit, in which case they're not.
Makes the target an enemy wizard. No, wizard keyword. So first of all, the unit doesn't have the wizard keyword.
And you can only target a unit anyway.
And you can't target the unit. You don't target a single model in a unit, so you cannot target the champion. And once they allocate wounds and models are slain and they go below 5, I think it is, stops being a wizard. So what happens to the rest of your attacks? You deduct attacks now?
You
or?
just don't get the extra attacks against them, basically.
Yeah, it's a weird interaction with Lumineth. Always has been, but usually no.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not an
If
anti-Lumineth
it's printed in bold and says wizards, it doesn't apply to them because they don't have the keyword on the unit.
Yeah, unless it's something like, oh, pick a model that's a wizard, because then it could.
But we have no option to pick.
Yeah, we don't have that. So, is there anything from these battle tactics we need to?
So ones we can do is the surround and destroy. That's an easy one. One boat goes in the corner. The boat counts for that. The unit inside counts for the other edge, and your hero that you left behind. He's just gonna sit next to your home board edge. Led into the Maelstrom is good, although it requires you to not kill a unit because they need to be within 3 inches at the end. That's a bit meh. Retreat and charge. We don't have a retreat and charge on the same unit, so you would.
Well, it's different units.
Yeah, but still, you have 4 units. So 2 are in combat that you want to retreat, and then you have another 2 you can spare to throw in somewhere. I don't know. Magical Mayhem. No.
No.
Reprisal. Very situational. Like friendly general got destroyed by unit early in the time. So if they kill your general, then maybe you can do it. Nah.
Hopefully you want to keep your general alive. Yeah.
Yeah. More friendly units outside your territory than friendly units within. That's easy. Take your boats, fly them out of your territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone inside. So there's 2 easier ones for us, I'd say.
Yeah, I also want to call out Endless Expropriation because that has had an FAQ, so that's different to what it says in the GHB. Because in the GHB, you pick one enemy unit that is controlling or bonded to an endless spell or incarnate, and you complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if any of the following are true, which is the enemy unit has been destroyed, the endless spell is wild, or the endless spell is controlled or bonded by a friendly unit, or the incarnate is wild. They got rid of half of that stuff, and it's now either basically kill the dude, or the incarnate becomes wild. So making an endless spell wild doesn't do this anymore. Which, considering there's a spell you can cast that makes an endless spell wild, that's important to know so that your opponent can't do that.
So basically, there's a little wizard who just casts Geminis. You shoot a hero. Done. Yeah. Oh, that's an easy one then.
Yeah.
Does Magical Dominance, it requires a wizard to do it? Right?
Yes.
Dang.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I think...
Okay, well, there's another one that's easy. Okay.
Endless Expropriation, we could do. Surround and Destroy, we can do. And Intimidate Revival Invaders, we can
Although, if it's a little hero that casts a spell, it's hard because we can't shoot him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would have to be like... You'd have to pick your moment, I think. But it's something we could do.
Yeah, absolutely. You say there's, I don't know, a bird, and he just cast on a spell portal. It's your turn now.
Shoot the bird.
You want to shoot the bird anyway. Easy battle. Just kill the bird.
Yeah. But we are going to have to rely on our book battle tactics a lot more, I think. Yeah.
Does it have to be a predatory in the spell? No. Are you bonded to stationary end of spells? By definition, or is can you only be bonded to predatory ones in the first place?
I think you can only be bonded to predatory ones.
So it needs to be a wizard that casts a predatory one.
No, controlling an endless spell or bonded to an incarnate. You can control or
but do you control stationary spells?
I can't remember. We've got a lot to go through, and I'm not going to derail the show while we look that up. Something to
I'm
check.
gonna look it up in the meantime.
Right, grand
Cool.
so there's 6. One of them is control the Nexus. You'd have 2 or more friendly wizard units that are wholly within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield. The only way you can do that in KO is if you have Arcane Tome and an ally or 2 allied knight encounters. So let's just ignore that one. Because you're not going to be doing that one. Spellcasting Savant. If the model you pick to be your general is an Antorian Locus and has not been slain, so the only way to do that with KO is have Arcane Tome and keep that guy alive. So that's risky.
For your information, only predatories can be controlled.
Okay. So you're probably not going to pick that one either.
Nope.
Slaughter of Sorcery. If there are no wizard units on the battlefield, so Lumineth don't count for this.
If you achieve this, you already won, and you don't care about the extra few points.
Well, not necessarily, because if you play against like Fire Slayers or something, they don't have any wizards. Then you're just like, yeah, I get this.
Yeah, or Corn. Yeah.
Okay,
fair enough.
So that one's an interesting one. There are some matchups where you'll just get it, and your opponent might have it as well, and they'll get it. True. So that's an interesting one if you're not taking Arcane Tome, although the KO ones are probably easier.
Is it enemy wizard units or no wizard units?
I think it's just no wizard units, so you can't do it.
So
if you've got your own wizards.
You need to blow up your own wizards.
Well, no, because you just don't pick that one if you've got your own wizards, do you? Just no wizard units on the battlefield.
Okay, so this is one for the armies that do not have wizards.
Don't have wizards, basically.
So that's the KO one, I guess, if you wanted to pick a generic one.
Yes. Okay.
Although both KO and Fire Slayers have better ones.
Yeah. So just pick the one where you keep your boats alive.
Yeah, keep your boats alive. Barren Landscape. If all enemy units with artifacts of power are destroyed and there are no enemy units within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield.
Way too complicated.
If a lot of people go in Battle Regiment and therefore probably only have one artifact of power, it's basically kill one unit and don't have enemy units.
Yeah, but then in the end, you need to make sure there's no one within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield, whilst you still need to control the objectives. And
what this means is, if your opponent has a teleport or fast-moving unit on the last turn, they can easily stop you getting it. They haven't got
it's stupid.
So we'll probably ignore that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
This one we'll do a little question mark, maybe. Overshadow. All enemy battle line units from the opponent's starting army are destroyed. Add at least one friendly battle line unit from your starting army is on the battlefield. So it's like a slightly harder version of the one that used to be
it's
you've got to kill the battle line units as well.
It's a tough one because some armies, they have very tough battle line. Because battle line is their main thing.
It's harder than just keeping a boat alive, isn't it? So, Magic made manifest. There are 2 or more endless spells or incarnates on the battlefield that are controlled by or bonded to friendlies. I think that's pretty much impossible for KO. So,
the incarnate, and you would need an ally and an endless spell. Then it would work.
And cast it in like the last turn. To keep your wizard alive.
And then you put predatory endless spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No.
And you can't do it with spell in a bottle.
Yeah.
Basically stick to the KO grand strategies. Before we move on to objectives, not objectives, battle plans, sorry. Generally, we've just covered a lot of stuff about what you can do with your armies and generally how the rules of the game have changed. What are your feelings on all of that stuff? In the whole.
At first glance, when I saw these things and I read through them, I thought, great. None of this is good for, is any use for KO. We have an army that's just not playing the extra rules.
Yeah.
Okay. And stuff got more expensive. So I was a bit disappointed. However, thinking more and more about Primal Dice, it makes us better against magic than we used to be.
Yeah. We've got more play against magic armies than we had before.
Yes, and I expect to see more magic armies and more anti-magic armies.
Mm-hmm.
So against a third of the field, we just got better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they got better, but still, we got better. Looking at the battle tactics, we are in a much better position than other armies. Because the battle tactics from a GHB, they are hard. And some you can just not achieve if there is not that circumstance where you could fulfill this, whatever it is required. So having 3 or 4 easy ones in your book, fantastic. That's 10 points that you have.
Which a lot of people might not. Yeah. They're also very punishing for castling armies that want to sit in their deployment zone, and KO can very easily not sit in their deployment zone. We can get out and into the field and be okay.
So the only real downside is the lookout, sir. But as we have alluded and discussed, we didn't shoot heroes that often anyway in the last book, and we did fine. Yeah, if you could shoot the heroes, fantastic, even better. So I think, maybe we're okay.
Our lists will have to change. We aren't Thunder spam anymore, but we've still got options. I think our next couple of shows are going to be list shows and show these combined KO or combat KO kind of lists.
Okay, so there's a question from the chat. And there's also a comment. Wiggy Woogie says that KO might struggle in tournaments where they limit book strategies. It doesn't seem to really be a thing in my area, so that's
neither for me. I haven't been to any, or I haven't heard of any in my greater area where they do that. I know that Rob likes to do this at his events.
I know Vince talks about it a lot in one.
Yeah, Vince, but he talks more about it than he actually plays tournaments.
Yeah. And he doesn't. So so that's fine.
So yes, but I mean, it will be in a pack.
Yes.
And if it applies to everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So everyone will be stuck on the.
Yeah, and we can still do like the movement one quite easily and stuff. So whereas other people can't do that one so easily.
If this turns into just having lots of Khorne and OBR around, then that's going to be good for us because we like OBR. We're very good into, and Khorne is okay.
Khorne
is pretty good.
We are
into OBR now. They don't have the -1 damage anymore. They just die.
Immortus just dies. I don't know what armies you have been playing, but the ones I've been playing is all the Immortus guards and nothing dies.
Yeah.
I sit them at 2 up.
-1 to hit, -1 to wound.
-1 to hit, -1 to wound, and 5 up ward. And
my
then
armies
if you
do
kill
20 more
5
wounds
of
in the
them,
movement phase.
they all come back.
Yeah.
My armies do 20 more wounds in the movement phase.
Yeah. And the hero giving them the -1 to hit and -1 to wound is passing wounds off on like to everyone else, and then they come back.
Yeah, now you can't even attack the hero. Like that was the only trick. Attack the hero because he has a worse save, and you need to.
Yeah.
But he was passing wounds off anyway. So.
Yeah, maybe on the battle plans now with multiple objectives easier, but it's you need to overcommit so much to kill a 3-man unit. It's incredible. It's just no fun.
And the question from the chat is Arcane Tome for Spell Eater and Mystic Shield for your boats worth it?
No, because you're going to unbind your Mystic Shield with plus 200.
Unless you
Spell
cast
Eater, it's on a 5 up, so.
I think there's a case to be made for Arcane Tome, but I wouldn't take Spell Eater.
No, I think we have better.
There's better KO.
You're gonna take Stormcaller now because the Navigator can actually kill heroes.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Okay, but and generally speaking, lists are going to be taking a lot less Thunderers and taking more Riggers and Wardens, I believe.
Maybe.
Right.
Well,
Do you think you're going to see many more Arcanauts in this?
not
I don't know.
Arcanauts.
Timo's attending a tournament where he's playing 50 at the moment.
Oh, really?
Right, okay.
So in Barak Ring, but they're playing Old Book. So
Old Book. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sure, Old Book.
Yeah, that's
Why
completely
Old
different.
Book?
because it's the book came out on Saturday and the tournament.
You mean
Started today.
old GHB?
Oh,
Yeah.
we thought you meant old KO book.
Yeah, I thought you meant
No,
old
why?
KO book.
Why KO book? No,
It's like,
Well,
why are you like 6
old
months
GHB.
behind?
No.
Old KO book, I can see. Yeah, sure, you'd use 50 Arcanauts, but
No,
why
no,
would you use 50 Arcanauts in new KO book?
Because Barak Ring.
For
Just to
the
get the
the
more
rare?
runes on the shooting, yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's something to think about now with Thunderers being less good.
Yeah,
How
he
do you
still
get
has
them in
15
the
Thunderers,
range?
but in the Iron
Okay.
Fly high and
Right.
December.
Okay, so let's talk about
You and
where
me.
the battle plans and what you're going to be trying to play your army in with all these rules. So before we actually look at individual battle plans, on the left there, the number of objectives in the previous GHP, and now on the right, the new set. So all of a sudden, we've got battle plans with 6 objectives,
Yay!
which we weren't having
Good
before.
for us.
This is good for KO. Then, generally speaking, on average,
We like to.
I mean,
we like
the
when
number.
people spread out.
The ones with 5 have decreased though, so it's not really necessarily on average more, but it is as well. I don't know. It's changed basically.
No more dwellers.
Yeah.
No more lurkers,
yeah.
no more twists and turns and that shit.
Oh, yeah, but you wait, Kron. You just wait.
Oh, there's a nice one,
Because
yeah.
there is a bad one for KO. The closest distance
Oh,
apart has got closer in theory, on average by a little bit, because there isn't the one where you're 30 inches apart anymore.
Now we'll talk about the 0 inches one that they didn't FAQ. What?
Well, that might be
Why?
It might be intentional. You never know.
It's the fact they looked over the missions. They FAQ'd one of them, but they didn't FAQ that. That's not a bug. It's a feature.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing.
We'll talk about that one in a minute. But and yeah, the functional distance apart, you're mostly either 18 inches apart, 22 inches apart, or ones that are variable, which, to be honest, in the most part is the checkerboard ones, because you depending where you deploy, you can deploy on the line, but still be further apart. So there's a lot less ones. I don't know. You're probably a little bit further away now, on average, when you deploy. The checkerboard ones are quite good for KO. So more objectives and a little bit further away. It kind of makes sense because before we were meant to be inside caverns, and now we've come out on top of frozen tundra. So yeah, good for KO on the battle plan so far. First battle plan, Geomantic Pulse. You've got 4 objectives, 22 inches apart. Nice, easy, basic deployment. The start of the second battle round, the player going second must choose either objective A or objective B to be the pulse. Each round after the pulse moves to the objective next to it without repeating, and objectives in this battle plan can't move. So basically, the pulse either starts on the right of the battlefield or the left, and then it just moves across.
And it rewards you for being able to armies that can hop from one side to the other, which we can very easily.
Although you don't need to go right from one side to the other side; it will slowly move across the battlefield.
Slowly,
because it won't. Well, it will go from B to. It will go for it will start here, then it will go here, then it will go here, then it will go here. It's not going to completely switch.
Well, we played that wrong.
Or it will start here and then go here, and except it will be 2,
but
then
you
3,
get
then 4.
1 point
the second one.
for everything. Then you get an additional point for the pulse and the one next to it. So you could possibly, the third round, if you control those 3 objectives.
there's a lot of points because when it's here, if that's a pulse, you get an extra points for these
you score
ones.
8 points.
Yeah.
If you have
So-
all the objectives.
When I played a test game, we obviously read the pulse very wrong. We just thought whoever goes second picks A or B, and that's what the pulse is. It was just
No.
hopping back and forth all the whole game.
No,
It
you only
moves
pick
through
once
the
and then it
battlefield.
moves across.
Okay.
I also want to point out that last year I released some battle tomes for 1,000 point games and doubles games, and there's a lot of similarities between some of these. And so if you ever played any of those, you'll be familiar with this concept of things just moving across the battlefield. Although I was actually moving the objective, but the pulse.
What
thing
was
works
that
well.
battle plan called?
Which one?
Where the objective kept moving randomly.
Oh, Nullstone.
Oh, the relocation orb.
The relocation orb.
Yeah.
Ah,
I think the problem with that is it was random and it could
it
just
was
move all over
super
the place.
random.
And it was like you looked at the map and it was like crazy. I actually think for small games, one objective that moves, if you know where it's going to move to, is fine because it just stops you like just having a scrum in the middle. But anyway,
I think this will be okay. This will be in a few tournaments. This is a pretty generic baseline mission, so I think it'll see play.
The important thing about this one is it benefits the player going second very much.
So many of these missions are like you want to go second in turn one.
Well, this one you want to go second in the second battle round, not the first battle round, the second battle round. So you need to.
But you pick it in the second battle round, man. Yeah. We did not play this correctly at all.
No pulse in the first battle round.
Okay.
And then the second battle round, that's when you pick. So if you go second in turn one or round one, then you win the roll off. Your choice is between taking the double turn or letting the opponent choose where the pulse is, or you having the pulse and not double turning.
If the double turn means I'm tabling my opponent, he can have it. He can move, he can select whatever he wants.
Yeah.
This benefits armies that can box you in. Like if I am super fast, fly spam, what else? Soul Blight that's just gonna pop up in front of you with dogs piloting 6 inches. If you can keep your opponent away from the middle for like 2 turns, you just won because you're ahead like 60 points. It's kind of not 10, like 12 points.
And essentially, these two objectives become very important because they're going to be worth a lot of points for a lot of time. So, because no matter where it starts, these ones are going to
second round, third round, fourth round,
yeah.
For 3 out of 5 rounds, these are extra valuable.
So actually, controlling the pulse is not that so much as important. It's controlling the ones next to it.
Matter. The pulse is only interesting if you could, like, that's the objectives you want to control at the start. Decide which is the pulse, or control both. So your opponent, even if he chooses, he's going to give you extra points, and then sit in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is Nexus Collapse. So checkerboard deployment. So you're effectively 18 inches away, but you're not, because on these little corners you can be closer if you can get more models into those corners. Checkerboards are normally quite good for KO, I think, in terms of deployment, because you can deploy here. At the start of each battle round, from the second battle round onwards, so not the first battle round, after determining priority, the player with the least victory points, that is, can remove up to 2 objectives.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
So the plan. So, like, do you purposely try and score low in that first turn so that you can remove 2 objectives?
You certainly, I think, want to go second in the first turn, so you know how many points your opponent scored, because you certainly don't want to score low, but then your opponent also scores low, and then it's like,
I like
if you
it.
go first,
I like this.
Turn 1, both players score 0.
And
Yes.
you also know what I like about this is that objectives are in your deployment, so you can do stake a claim.
Mhm.
Because they're probably gonna set up something on an objective. You just stay clear of your objectives. You say, oh, I have less objectives than you.
Yes.
Stake a claim. I need to just gain those 2 plus an extra 1,
Mhm.
2 points.
And
I
the
have
thing
one
is,
more, so 5
what
points.
you can pretty much guarantee is the first objectives that get removed are like these 2 or these 2, depending on where people spread out to, because
depends what
they're going to
army
be
they
the
play.
hardest
If they
ones
play
for
a
you to
slow
take.
army, they're gonna remove the ones outside.
Yeah, maybe.
And they're just gonna like fire slayers are gonna remove the outside ones, just gonna play in the middle.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And if the score is tied, you roll off, and the winner gets to remove 1 objective, which I think is completely unnecessary, but whatever. Also, when an objective is removed, units within 6 inches suffer D3 mortal wounds on a 4+.
Yeah, who cares?
Well, you've got heroes on an objective, you might start to care.
Yeah, 4 plus D3.
You've already miscast with them earlier. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah, no.
And it's the basic scoring of 1, 2, and more.
Yeah, I like this one. This is an interesting one.
Well, we had a whole 6 months or whatever of removing 1 objective, and removing 2 is like huge. We saw how important like removing 1 objective was, didn't we, for that?
Like
GHB.
after second, third, fourth, after the 4th round, you could have no objectives left.
Yes, potentially.
But then
if you're
how do you
losing,
win? But then how do you win?
if you're
Because
losing,
you always
you don't
remove
want to
objectives.
remove that many. And actually, remember when we had the GHB where you could remove 1 objective?
Yeah.
I remember if I was behind, I was quite often not removing the objectives because
Yeah.
I need to catch up. Can't catch up if you've got no objectives.
This is where drops become super interesting.
Yeah.
Because if you have 1 drop, you're just gonna say, yeah, you go.
1 drop.
He's gonna score 5 points. You're deliberately gonna score 4 points,
Mm-hmm.
and then take away his objectives, and then go into a double.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's 2 battle plans where drops are very important already. Next one, lines of communication. Fairly basic, 22 inches apart, rectangle deployment, 3 objectives in the middle. At the start of each battle round, the player going second can choose a phase in the round. In that phase, in both turns, the opposing player, if they use a command ability on a 3+, they need to spend an extra CP. So it's like total eclipse for 1 phase.
Yeah.
So if you choose not to spend an extra CP, then the command doesn't get issued, but counts as being used. So you can't then use that same command on a different unit. And the CP is lost, the first one that you spend.
Okay, but imagine Lumineth, who already have a total eclipse, now
Yes.
double total eclipsing you. That's going to be fun.
You know, I need to read this, but
Yeah, because I've sort of written it in a shorter version.
X Grunstock and Flagship don't care because you don't spend a command point in the first place.
Oh well, I'm not sure if that gets around it because it just says you spend an additional CP.
Issues during battle. Each time issues a command phase, your opponent roll a dice and rips an additional command point, but I never spent one.
Yes, but you can add something to 0, so 0 plus 1 is 1.
But because it works versus the total eclipse, so I assume it should work against.
Because total eclipse, isn't it doubling it rather than adding to it?
No, I think it just says spend 2 command points instead of.
It's worded because if it total eclipse,
and also the OBR one. Like on a 5+, it's exactly that rule. On a 5+, you need to spend an extra CP.
Total eclipse is locked, and I can't read it because I haven't got the Valdo.
I'll check it.
But okay, it could be a good one for KO then, if that works.
Because my Admiral always had like 2 CPs he could spend for free each turn. And I just didn't care.
Although
about
he can
Total
only
Clip
issue
or
one command
OBR.
anyway. He can only issue one command.
Yeah,
anyway,
but each time it was no CP.
free.
Let me check. Luminif.
But this might need an FAQ because there's other armies as well that can issue commands for free.
I know, because it says spend 2 command points instead of 1, because I never spent 1.
Yes.
Does not apply. In
Whereas
this case, I think you would need to spend. Well, still, you spend 1 point instead of.
Yeah, instead of 0. So
what's the OBR rolled in?
You pick those like in the shooting phase, they can't all out defense. Or they can if they want to all out defense, they can spend 1 extra CP, or you pick it the combat phase, and then they can't all out defense, can't all attack, can't do loads of shenanigans. You need to know your opponent's army to make the best of this.
You need to know how many command points they have left.
Yes. And it's the player going second in the round, so again it's like
Okay, but otherwise it's I don't know. I felt
it's
like
it's a boring
in the middle
one in terms of the actual map, but yeah, there we go. Okay. Next one is a bit of a silly one, really. It's called Every Step is Forward. And when you look at the way they draw it, it makes it look like you can deploy over here and over here. But the reality is you can actually only do that with models that have a base of 2 inches or less, because you have to be 9 inches away from your opponent's deployment zone. So, yeah, it's great for stuff like
2 rows of 5.
Yeah.
It's going to walk down to that objective.
Yeah. Or, Stormcast will love it on their 50mm basis. They can just fit in. But your opponent's like big monsters are not fitting over there, basically. In this battle plan, if a unit charges, models in its unit count as an extra 1 for objectives that turn.
Mm-hmm.
So if you charge, you count as an extra model. So
the frigate counts as 6.
Yeah. And everything inside it, if they get out, count as extra as well. But then, ogres also count as an extra 1 on top of what they already are and stuff like that as well. Not so good for Mega Gargants because +1 on them doesn't make much difference. Like, they're already a high number. Like, it's better for units that only count as 1 and there's lots of models.
Yes.
Also,
it's great if you take the amendment where Arcanauts count as 2.
Yes, because then they count as 3.
Then they count as 3, and they become Stormcast Liberators.
Yeah.
But they're 10.
Also on this one, if a unit retreats, it can't count towards an objective that turn.
That's big.
Yes. Very big.
Because how often have you retreated from combat, said, I'm just going to retreat over here onto objective, or out of combat, and I have more units than you done.
Yeah.
And I like the placing of the objectives, like to here to there.
Yeah.
And then we have
none in the middle. Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, absolutely. I like this one.
I think it will probably actually end up just being like armies like that facing off against each other long ways.
That's how you usually do this. You go sideways and then you go forward because you have a less area that you need to. You have a smaller front.
Yeah,
Basically.
unless you have unless both players have got really small bases and they can effectively end up making it look like this. But you can't. There's no space here to screen and then put heroes behind. So
2 inches. Can I fit dogs in currency? Like 10 direwolves in currency. Can they fit in there? Probably not. How much is 2 inches?
No, because they're units of.
10. Yeah, they have these small cavalry bases. I need to measure it. Maybe if they're, because then that's super good for them.
This one's really interesting.
Limited resources.
This one is called limited resources. in this one, you're 18 inches apart. This one, the territory does extend all the way to the middle. We didn't talk about some of these other ones, but that, I mean, there aren't really any battle. There are a couple of battle tactics that say about your territory aren't there.
Staying out, you need to get your units out of your territory. It's a lot harder with something like this.
Yes.
It's important for things that have faction terrain. Because now the Loon Shrine can be in the middle. Or almost.
Yeah. In this one, once you've controlled an objective for 2 turns consecutively, or 2 of your turns consecutively, you cannot control it for the rest of the battle, but you can still contest it. Because there's a whole thing about melt water and stuff, but basically, if you hold an objective without your opponent taking it for one of your turns, it doesn't matter if they take it and then you have it.
Yeah.
And then you get it back in
your
turn.
2 turns. If he took it in the meantime, it doesn't matter.
So yeah, if you hold, so basically, in theory, if you don't lose your 2 starting objectives, then in round 3 you can't score any points from them.
Yeah, so you want to really, you don't want to hold, you really don't want to like go all out and hold all the objectives you can, because that's going to backfire on you.
But you have to remember, objectives are tag and go as well. So even if you move off them, it's not like you lose them.
Yeah. So you need to, maybe not take your objectives.
However, the thing is, you're going to be in a position where you have to keep models on an objective.
You need to defend an objective that doesn't give you points, but it would give your opponent points.
Just need to adjust my chair because
it's
a bit broken, and it just slowly slides down over the course of. Obviously I'm too heavy. But yeah, you can still contest it to stop your opponent taking it. Though. But if they.
I cannot control it, so I would not score 1-2 more, but I would hinder my opponent from scoring more.
Yeah, you'd stop your opponent from taking it if you have models on it. So, yeah.
That's a weird one.
I wanted to bring out something from the chat as well. Martin mentioned that disengage still counts as a retreat for that other battle plan.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so that's important to remember that one. Also, some of the distances on this one are interesting because you're further away. Like, if you're here, you're further away from this one than you are actually from, like, here. And so, depending how you deploy and where you are, like, it's easy if you deploy here and get to, over there. Then, like, the objectives seem quite far apart and stuff, but
yeah. So in this one, you kind of want to make sure you only control 3 at a time to do 1-2 more, 1-2 more, and then move to the next. Like, I don't know. It's a weird one.
It feels like what they want you to do is just kind of push forwards like this and sort of. But actually, it's just as easy to go over here as it is to go over there. So there's going to be a lot of like. Thinking about where your opponent.
I think in this one it could pay off not to deploy on the objectives, and then just move to the middle, take those 2, and just score 1-2 on battle tactic.
And then
you have to
let your opponent
forward thinking.
Let your opponent, if he doesn't have a teleport, run like siphon all his meltwater, because then he needs to go forward. You don't care about the middle ones anymore, so you're just gonna focus on his and your home objectives. And he needs to get out of his box while keeping away, and it's a weird one.
Yeah, because you could do
a lot of thinking involved in this one.
You could do this sort of maneuver, come to this one, then come to that one, and then fly high to that one after they come along this way.
So I think this one's you're going to see in tournaments as well quite a lot.
Yeah, I like this. I think this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I like these battle plans. There's a lot of thinking involved in these.
You could also like purposefully don't take your opponent's objectives to force them to to time out
to hold models on it.
So like if your opponent takes an objective, you then stay away from that for 2 turns, so they purposefully lose it.
Ideally,
going
you
on.
want your opponent to run out his objectives while not scoring more.
Yeah.
So you need to keep.
It's
but
tough.
You go in tag.
It's-
So I was thinking
The other
about
thing-
Fleet
Cool.
Master, like Fleet Master, the boat at the back. He goes on his objectives. He goes, oh yeah, 1-2 more, and you get like no.
The other thing
One,
is
two,
if you
but-
let your opponent
no.
take an objective from you, because you have to. It's only two. It's not 2 turns. It's 2 turns consecutively. 2 of your turns consecutively.
Yeah.
So you could have it, score it, then lose it, let your opponent keep it for one of your turns, or you take
Yes.
another one, and then and you can sort of milk the same objective
Yeah,
potentially.
you need to run in circles. Like you need to keep switching objectives with your opponent.
Yeah. Which sounds good for kiting.
That's what I mean. You need just
Yeah.
go in circles and just 1-2 more. Okay, next
Yeah.
time you take these. Okay, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and all the time
you
you're
keep it.
shooting them and whittling them down because they're
Yeah.
not getting into combat with you. So I
Yeah,
think this
this
is a good
is- This is an interesting one. Yeah.
Hmm.
If you can keep that up, yeah.
And Martin says, sounds like drops are important again to see how many you need to take. Because you see which ones your opponents take if they take the first turn. And
I think there'll be a lot
Yeah.
of battle regiments in this. Battle regiments will be very good in this
Yes.
edition again.
okay, next one is called
Mm.
Spring the Trap. So in this one, after deployment, each player can put up to D3 units into reserve.
Now,
starting-
I have several questions.
no.
Yeah.
Okay. Friendly units is the house rule FAQ here. Friendly units.
Yeah.
No, that's not the question I had.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't
Is your
specify
question what happens if
friendly.
you
I deploy units inside an ironclad. Now I can pick up the
Ah.
ironclad.
Yes.
Is everyone inside also in reserve? Like, can I put
I
my entire
presume
army
so.
in reserve?
Potentially.
Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, obviously.
I didn't think of that one. That's interesting.
That's the difference
Yeah.
between me and you.
Well, I see that it doesn't specify friendly, so I picked D3 units. Oh no, the zombie dragon's off. What's that? Your screens are all gone.
Yeah.
What a shame. But
No, I mean everyone's going to play this as friendly. Like it didn't
Yeah,
get an
yeah,
FAQ to be friendly, but everyone knows it's meant to be friendly.
Yeah. Plus, starting from the second background, at the end of your movement phase, you can set up those units you placed in reserve. Like, take your opponent's units, have them back in the corner of the battlefield. There you go.
Yes, your screen
Yeah.
is now screen.
Like your screen
There.
is sitting in the corner, moving 4 inches. Good luck.
Yes.
This
Uh,
is.
Oh, you've got Go Trek. Oh, enjoy walking him from the corner of the battlefield.
oh shit! Wait, could you start Gotek off the board? Because that's a way to get him forward real
Oh,
quick.
because he wouldn't be able to set up. But if your opponent's got Go Trek,
Yeah, you cannot be
could
set
you
up
take
again.
him off because he can't be in the battlefield. Oh,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a shame, isn't it?
Honestly, I just do it and wait for a TO. Like, yeah, no, fuck you. Remove him.
anyway,
How does this interact
Every-
with Neferata, who can do the same? Remove D3
Just
units
get
and put them
2D3.
somewhere else.
2D3.
Yeah.
Like, she can
Basically.
remove herself and I think up to 3 units.
You'll
And put
be
them
in
somewhere
addition.
else. And then
Like,
you put them back in, and then you put them in reserve.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But the one interesting thing is you make the same roll for both players, so you only roll 1 dice. So it's not like one person will get to remove 3 and the other person gets to
Yeah.
remove 1.
And that's good. That's fair.
Yeah. And yeah.
Oh, well, each player can remove D3 units. Roll once for both turns. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's not going to have one person's going to have 3 units, and the other person's only going to get 1.
And then
Yeah.
in the second round, within 6, more than 9. Boom! Here comes my ironclad with all my thunders.
Yes, from a battlefield edge. So the idea is you can use it to get on those flanking objectives.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than go
But
for
second
the middle.
round. So the goal is here, first turn, screen those.
Yeah, because if you can move to here, then they can't come on anywhere near that objective.
Yeah. You know who doesn't like this battle plan? Beast of Chaos because they have nothing they can put in reserve because they are already in
They're
reserve.
already on reserve.
Yes.
However,
I think with
actually, they do like this because this allows them to keep stuff in reserve longer than the first 2 turns because they need to come on round 2. However, if they deploy something, put it in reserve using this ability, it can stay in reserve longer than it could usually, which is very strong. I need to check the ruling for their ability, but I think that's how it works.
You know what I think is a shame about this one is that you don't have objectives in your territory, so you can't come in on reserve here in your opponent's territory after they push forwards. That would have been really interesting because then it's like,
well, you can still come in.
move?
There's just nothing there.
Yeah, there's less incentive to come in there, though, isn't there?
Yep.
Because whereas then it would be like a weird incentive, like, okay, well, should we hold things back to protect our objective and stuff? That would have been more interesting, I think.
Yeah, it's a good point from the chat. Night Hunt do the same. They remove D3 units.
Do we still have armies where they can remove 1 for everyone on the battlefield? Do any of those still exist?
Yeah, Stormcast.
Yeah. So
if they are not Stormkeep, but the
ones that they put on the table can then be removed. So the whole point is that they can only maximum put half of them on but then they can later remove them.
They put 1 in reserve for each they put on the battlefield, same as Soul Blight. Put stuff in the grave or Night Hunt.
Yeah.
No, Night Hunt changed.
So you can get more off the table than you would normally be able to with those armies.
Yes. Plus D3.
Okay. Is it possible for KO just to zone out every table edge? So
for KO, not anymore. With the old Fly High, yes. Now,
because only one
hard. Now
Hmm.
it's hard, even with running and running 2d6 and plus 18-inch, but maybe. Depends where you deploy, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, and it's
Fly
an interesting
high,
one.
Get out on both ends. 18-inch, move 3d6. Depends on your list. Maybe you could. Maybe you could.
Because it's an interesting one, because you can go for those flank objectives quite easily, even out on the first turn, which a lot of some armies can't. Saying that's probably not that far. I think I measured it, but I think it's probably 6 inches. But you're then putting yourself into units can come on and charge you. It's quite hard to screen off and be safe from any charges from stuff that's going to come on from a battlefield edge.
Although, that stuff usually needs a 9-inch charge. So
yeah, it will need a 9-inch charge, which is fair. I don't know. It's also a very small deployment, which I guess is why you can put stuff in reserve, but you still have to be able to deploy it before you can put it in reserve.
It's not that small because it's 13 inches deep.
Yes, because it's not like the old Realmstone cache, which is here.
Yeah, no, this is the position over power.
Yeah, it does mean, and your territories in this are very small. So you can quite easily do
more units outside of territory than in. It's a cool one. I like it. If I can put my boat and everyone inside.
A good thing about this one is, unlike the old one that we had before, where you had the flank objectives, positions overpower, the one you just mentioned, they don't disappear. So the flanks are still there, which is good for KO. Yeah. Because we can go, oh, we're here. Now we're here. Oh, now we're back over here again. You can just keep walking backwards and forwards.
Yeah, usually with free, if you have free objectives, you pressure it to outside too.
Yeah. But on the positions of power after round 4,
3.
Yeah, from round 4 onwards they disappeared, didn't they? So, although by that point your opponent was dead. But never mind. Fountains of the Frost. So 22 inches apart, 6 objectives, small territories. They don't extend to the middle. At the start of each battle shock phase, roll a dice for each objective contested by 3 or more units. Each unit contesting the objective suffers D3 mortal wounds on a 4+. You roll separately for each unit.
Yeah, just don't put 3 units on it.
Yes,
But you forgot the most important rule. Andorian Locust units count as 10 models for the purpose of contesting
Have I missed that
objectives.
one off this one?
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's a big thingy.
The Locust count as 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's lots of.
I can see like strategies in this thing, like, so you could, if your opponent's holding an objective with 2 units, you could purposely fly 1 unit onto an objective to blow it up and deal, see if you can deal more damage to them than it does to you.
Oh, it's not friendly units. It's
units.
Yeah,
it's any 3 units. So
if your opponent's being careful, you can blow it up for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. The thing is, the Locust counting as 10 is the main thing.
Yeah, which is unfortunate for us because.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about this is units contesting the objective. Stuff inside the boat doesn't contest the objective, so we can have loads of stuff on the objective, but only the boat will count.
Technically true. So you put a boat on objective with 3 units inside it, it's still only 1 unit.
Yeah.
And you gain what?
Well, it just means they won't blow up. Oh,
Nothing.
And the guys in the boat.
But they don't contest. So.
No, the guys in the boat won't take D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah,
the guys in the boat won't take D3
if your
mortal wounds.
opponent moves 2 units onto the objective, everything in the boat.
No, they won't because
only
units contesting the objective contesting the boat. Yeah,
they're safe from that.
So we can have heroes.
Let's be honest, it's a 4+ D3. It's like
it won't be. It's not a huge. It'll save your characters, your little navigators and chemists who are hiding inside the boat. They'll be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's okay.
It just means you will never have to do the heroic action to heal your heroes, which means you can then spend your time using it for the heroic willpower to unbind spells.
Oh yeah. There's some changes, like things that I got used to in the last GHB that we're not going to get anymore, like having 2 heroic actions in your second turn, or fighting in the hero phase.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fighting in the hero phase was fantastic.
And we can't all-out defensive boat twice anymore. Rip. No.
Or triple all-out attack.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm going to miss.
Here's an anecdote from my last game at the tournament. Thankwall with his 4 flamers moving towards my 15 thunderers on average 30 mortal wounds. Redeploy into the boat.
Yeah, you redeploy into a boat and then redeploy the boat. That's
redeploy the boat
that
outside of 8 inches. You can't shoot me. Just save me 15 thunderers.
Yeah. Although Thankwall can't fly, isn't fast anymore. He can't use the skateboard anymore.
Not anymore, but in that game he could, and he was just in front of me. I was like, okay, these 15 are dead. Oh wait, redeploy, redeploy. Yay, outside of 8.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next one. The Icefields. Each time a unit runs, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. When a unit makes a charge roll, each dice that's a 1 before modifiers in the charge roll, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So if you run and charge in this one, there's chances you're going to take D3 mortal wounds. Also, if you 3d6 charge, you've got more chance of getting 1s.
Good. This is good for like KO and shooting armies, but you're never going to see this in an event.
You know what this does is it brings back the whole debate about the charge roll for the units inside the boat, and then does that charge roll count for them?
No, it doesn't.
Or was that fixed? I can't remember if that was fixed.
It doesn't. But... However, they count as having run.
Yes, so they count as having run. So don't run your boats
with people inside.
6 objectives, lengthwise deployment is good for KO.
I don't think we're ever going to see this at a serious event.
They're too close, these objectives.
They are quite close together,
There's 6 of them. It's just
Too many people with combat armies who don't like this. They're not going to allow
it is
it.
just a massive brawl in the middle. Like
pretty much.
Gotrek
And then-
loves it.
Except for
Yeah.
there's actually no objective right in the middle. So what
but-
this will end up being is like a big sort of spirally thing.
Yeah.
Gotrek sits in the middle and then just picks any objective to go and fight.
Yeah, and then he moves to the next and the next, and he goes around in circles.
Mhm.
It's a
But-
weird one. But
Yeah,
okay.
just being lengthways means some tournaments are less likely to do it.
Mm. True.
Next one is called Power Flux. In this one, you can only score VPs for activated objectives. At the start of each battle round, the player going second must choose which pair of objectives are active. So either A or B. So it's either these two are active or these two.
So turn 1, if you go second, you will say A. Most likely, because it guarantees your opponent just going to score 1
mhm.
and not 2 and not more.
This is another one where drop count is important. It's also you only score victory points for activated objectives. It's not that you can't control them. And not that you can't contest them. So you can gain control of them ready for the next turn. You score 1 VP if you control 1 active objective, another VP if you control both, and 1 VP for each active objective controlled and contested by a friendly Antorian locust, and no enemy Antorian locusts.
Okay,
it.
so going A still gives you 2 points. So 1, and you have a locust on your home objective.
Mhm.
If enemy wizards were destroyed, you get an extra point.
Oh, have I missed that one off?
Yeah.
Maybe I ran out of space. No.
And then Atlantic 2 points. So if enemy wizards units were destroyed, doesn't matter if they shot, killed, or fled, or whatever.
So that's good for
himself up.
because you just get points for shooting wizards. I like that.
Yeah, and it's not locust, it's any wizard. So wizard hunters, yay!
Yeah. I don't know. For the whole A and B thing, it's
interesting.
be
There's
interesting,
some
I guess.
play there. Like, you're gonna win a roll off, but I'm just gonna select these two instead of these two. You're gonna score less points.
There's a lot that disincentivize taking the double turn, basically. Because if you take the double turn,
Which
and
is
then
which
your
is a good
opponent-
thing, let's be honest.
Yeah. But as you said earlier, if taking the double turn means you basically destroy your opponent's army,
Yeah.
it's still worth it.
It is.
So okay.
Next one we can skip.
Next one,
I
the
mean-
Frigid Zephyr. This is the one where
It's night fighting for Age of Sigmar.
is this the one with
Stupid.
the? No, it's not the one. I just haven't put measurements on it. So it's the checker box deployment. There's a thing called a squall. Units more than 12 inches apart are not visible to each other, and models cannot fly. But from the second battle round onwards, you roll a dice, adding the number of the battle round to the roll, and on a 7+, that first roll goes away. So you can't fly, you can't see things more than 12 inches away, and
This is horrible.
but later on in the game, you possibly can do those things.
I don't think we're going to see this at
Like-
any real event.
It's like,
Like the
12 inches are not visible. It doesn't matter how many wounds, nothing. Like,
No.
there's not gonna be any spell casting.
no,
yeah.
Like, spells target a unit within 18 or wholly
Yeah.
within 12.
they pretty much always say visible.
Yeah.
Basically, there's an anti-combat mission and there's an anti-ranged mission,
Mhm.
and neither are going to see use.
Yes, although this one is against flyers as well, so
Yeah.
just
This is
randomly, so you
anti-fly,
can't fly.
anti-shoot, and anti-magic.
Anti-fun.
However, and you're gonna get the people going, oh, but surely you can't fly high. Well, yeah, we can. 'cause
Don't
that's
need to
what
fly high.
Yeah.
There's a point in the chat. It says it affects line of sight between units. So if you pick a point on the battlefield, like the
Yes.
prime,
Oh
works.
yeah, you still
Yeah,
Yeah,
can.
that sort of
You're
stuff
not,
still works.
you're not line of sighting to
so
it.
yeah, the navigator cannot see, but the prime can see. It's weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a
Weird
horrible
mission.
It's like this is just
Yeah.
horrible for shooting armies.
You know what loves this? Storm Fiends, because they don't need visibility to shoot.
Yeah,
The rattling guns need, but the wind
Yeah.
launchers don't.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Um,
launchers. So they're looking like, well, I'm still shooting you.
This is
Anything
your
that
like
doesn't.
Iron Jaws, Fire Slayers, Khorne. They're the ones who love
Sentinels.
this.
Sentinels as well don't need visibility to
Duh.
shoot.
No, they do. No, they
Yeah,
lost
I
Have
think
they
they
changed
do.
that?
They
Oh,
lost
okay.
that.
Oh, I don't know. Good. Stupid bird.
Yeah.
Stupid bird. We've got robot birds. We should have.
I mean, this would be nice. Like Seraphon don't like it, which makes me happy. Less croak bombs. So
Yeah, but croak bomb just doesn't work anymore. So
not
they
so.
nerf.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work anymore. So people playing Agrodons now.
And they.
It's a shame.
They're like.
I like this like deployment with the
Of the objectives.
you have a
Yeah.
choice between going here or here,
Yep.
but the rules mean it's probably not going to get picked.
No,
Unless you have POs that hate shooting.
Stupid one.
Yeah, I mean the serious ones were at the beginning. It's like and I think they've almost done it intentionally because there's two
Table 1 is the serious one.
tables.
Table 2 is the enjoy.
Yeah, the crazy ones.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy for TOs to just say, oh, well, we're going to announce the objectives on the day, but they'll only be from table 1. So don't worry about any of their rubbish. Rather than having to randomly pick a list, they can just say, oh, it's just this
then
table.
You play twists and turns twice.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that. I don't think we can talk about that one more. No reward without risk because they couldn't think of another name, so they stole that name. Although they've took off the word theirs from the KO thing. So this one, there's no requirement to be a distance apart from your opponent's territory. And that hasn't had an FAQ. And talking with other people about it from rules chats and that, we think potentially that's intentional.
So I can deploy in combat.
Potentially. It could just be it could be an omission. And it'd be interesting to see what TOs do, whether they just say, oh, you have to be 9 inches away. However, of course, you can only deploy in combat if your opponent deploys there as well. So there's a mini game there with deployment. Because obviously, if KO just deploys here, you can't deploy in combat with us. So, but there's lots of objectives in the middle, so you're sacrificing there a lot of ball control.
This is where higher drops comes in handy because your opponent's gonna out of muscle memory, he's just gonna put down a 9-inch stick in the middle and deploy his army around, and then it's your turn. You're just gonna put something in the middle.
Go Trek. Go Trek right there.
I'll go here. No, you can't. Yes, I can.
Yep. And then they call the PO over.
It's a weird one.
The other thing about this one is when a wizard is slain on this one, each unit within a number of inches equal to the wizard's wounds characteristics. So if it was a 6 wound hero, then each unit within 6 inches takes D3 mortal wounds on a 4+.
Again, the 4+ D3, who cares? Half of the time it's not going to happen, and the rest of the time it's going to be 1 or 2 wounds.
I mean,
okay.
I like shooting wizards. You can't shoot them anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It's
Little wizard on a.
it's a little thing that happens, but it's not very effective on the outcome of the game.
Oh well, the thing is though, it's based on their wounds characteristic.
Yeah.
So if you
Little
kill
wizards-
something that has like 20 wounds, it's everything within 20 inches.
Little wizard
Takes
explodes
the-
5. Archaon explodes 22. Mega Gargant with Arcane Tome kills the board. Just 40 inches. Everything within 40 inches just.
Yeah, everyone.
It's only D3
Your
more
own
wounds.
units as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it'll be funny to watch a Gargant just go nuclear on this mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuclear.
Yeah,
D3
nuclear.
more
Everyone
wounds.
takes
It's
D3
D3 more
away.
wounds, but
It's like.
But you're hitting your table and maybe the table next to you as well.
Useless.
it's
just- What
It's more funny.
I played
than-
this mission, and what I found surprising is that you have 5 objectives all the time here. So it's super easy to do 1-2 more. You just like pick 3 of these. Just move 2 units over here, 1-2 more. You get this one, I'll move them over here, 1-2 more. It's like it's more movement than actually fighting someone.
Yeah, although I guess there are some armies that would just love being able to just walk into the middle, and if you can sit a Mega Gargant there and just like, okay, well now I'm counting on this one. Okay, now I'm counting on that one.
Yeah.
Because I already own this one and you've moved on to that one. But yeah, because they are a bit like that other one with 6. They are relatively close together. And with the 3 in the middle are really close together, really.
Yeah, but otherwise there's nothing special to this mission.
No, it's just the wizard thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and the next
Cool.
one is never going to get played.
Oh, the next one is ridiculously stupid.
Oh no, it's great. It got FAQ'd. It's not. You don't just lose victory points for playing Gargants now. So it might see tournaments. I hope.
Yeah. So basically, in this one, you have to set up a defensible terrain piece that isn't large or super large or whatever their words are for them. Like basically, a defensible terrain piece that can only hold a certain amount of models, but I can't remember how many in each territory. More than 9 inches is from enemy territory. After choosing sides, but before deployment starts, each player picks 1 defensible terrain piece or a faction terrain piece to be a wizard tower. And
Yeah,
it
what if
becomes
there is no
arcane.
defensible terrain on your team?
No.
Well, no, because you
or
have to.
fa-
You have to. So the
You-
first
you
rule is
must
you
set
set
up
up
a
a
defensible
defensible
terrain.
terrain piece in your territory. So each terrain piece has at least 1 defensible terrain piece. And
So
then
you get to set up a terrain. Yeah.
then you roll off and you pick sides, and then you say, "Oh, I'm going to have this as my wizard tower."
Well, I like the idea that the Corn Skull Altar becomes a wizard tower.
Mm-hmm.
The,
Yeah,
the,
or
the
pizza
Corn Altar is a wizard tower.
Yeah.
Why?
And then it's just score one or 2 because you can't. They haven't got score more on this one for some reason. Although you could in theory score more if you had both, but they thought obviously that's too much. And then at the end of the battle, you get 2 VP if you control your wizard tower, which originally was meant to be something about like if you're in it,
If you're in it, and then
but now you just have to control it. And then you also score 2 if there's no enemy models contesting your wizard tower.
No, there's no. You score 2 if there's no enemy units contesting their wizard tower.
Yeah.
Oh, is
So
it
you
their
get
wizard
yours,
tower?
you get 2 points. If they don't have anything in theirs, you get an extra 2 points.
And
okay.
they FAQ'd it that it's enemy units near can be inside or next to or within 3 of their wizard tower.
Yeah, and they FAQ that control of garrison is now also within 3
Next
inches.
to it. Yeah.
Because
Yes,
the amount
you
of
don't
people
have to be just in
at
it.
Worlds who wanted to desecrate a garrison by
And then you
standing
go,
next to
okay.
it and not inside was huge. You'd be
Yeah,
surprised.
you go, okay, you can desecrate, and you fail. Good.
I actually had
So-
that last tournament. My opponent said he's going to desecrate this objective, and it was
okay.
a garrison, and he didn't go inside. And I was like, no, you didn't. Sorry, 2 points.
Too bad.
But he loved playing against you.
Yes, he loved it because he was playing Gits and he hated shooting, and it's just.
But
no, he's
yeah,
a very nice guy.
this one I don't think it's going to get played because
surely it's just your garrison is just another objective. So now you've got 4 objectives.
No,
the
hassle of supplying 2 garrisons per table in the middle. And
that's
blah,
the
blah, blah,
problem. And then it's also like, you deploy, you can put it like here, and then the other person puts theirs like there.
Yeah.
And then you pick sides.
Models so that this
Although
will
the defender
this will
probably
bring
gets
up
to set them
garrison
up.
rules. If I put a boat in my garrison, can I put dudes inside my boat inside the garrison?
Yeah, we never got an answer on that question.
So can I play Russian nesting dolls with an ironclad and thunders and just build like a cannon fort and just sit there like, cool, come take my garrison. I've got like guns bristling out of every side of this thing.
And would the Thunderers get cover and the +1 from the garrison?
Yeah, maybe.
Would you be -2? And if I exit the garrison?
No, because the cover from your boat is now just cover. So
yeah, but the garrison isn't cover. So
the garrison gives +1.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
Before it used to be both. And if I disembark my Thunderers, are they now inside the garrison or are they outside the garrison? Are they inside the garrison but next to the boat? That's also inside the garrison.
This is the game.
These are answers we need.
You get to bring that 3D printed floating dwarf tower that some of you have, right?
Yeah, I have that. Yeah.
And then to put like that's my wizard tower. It's got an ironclad in it.
Yeah, fantastic.
This one's not going to get played.
No.
Surely.
The missed opportunity on this one is about having a wizard in the wizard tower. There's no requirement to put a wizard in the wizard tower.
True. Yeah, also it becomes arcane. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't get like extra points for having a wizard in your wizard tower or anything like that.
Sometimes. There was this Citadel terrain piece that Scryer.
Oh, the old one. Yeah.
Soul Scrying.
Soul Scryer Citadel, I think.
There was just a big wizard tower thing from Fantasy. I've got one.
Well, there was the wizard tower, like the big one, and then there was
Yeah.
also the Citadel with like the tower leaning and a little bridge and little.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that one with the observation.
Those
with
are
the telescope.
super expensive these days if you find them.
Yeah.
They're like 150, whatever.
Yeah.
$300.
Pesos. Cents. 150 cents. I'll buy it.
Oh, I'll buy that.
Yeah, no, they're super rare.
Yeah. So I think that's all of them.
Thankfully.
Bang on 2.5 hours. There we go. So ignoring the last 6 because they're rubbish.
Not all of them.
How do you feel
Not all
about
of them were rubbish. The last 6.
No, the last 6 were rubbish. I mean, the first 6 were good. The last 6 probably won't get used, I think. How do you feel about the battle plans for KO?
Yeah, good. Mostly because of the many objectives, which will force people to spread out, so we can play the pick 'em off game a lot easier again.
Although many of these objectives are pretty close. Like we don't have a Nidus Paths situation, kind of, or Jaws of Galat far away.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are pretty close. Everyone meets in the middle. This is shifting objectives, basically.
Yeah, because this one, people just going to push forward and then go
push forward, sit there, and you can dance around them, but you're not on objectives. So I don't know if that's that good.
This one, it depends which ones get removed. You want to control the priority.
Yeah. I like these, but it's priority.
They're nicely spread out. This one, they're really close together.
This one I hate.
This one
I like.
It's okay for KO. That one's quite good for KO. Any time you can deploy in a corner is good. This is good for KO, I think.
Yeah, I like this one. I like this one because of the thinking ahead.
Yeah.
I do
That
like
one's good for KO.
because they're pretty far away, and it's D3 reserve. Where can I go?
Can we put the whole Can we put a whole army in reserve? Is the question, and then just give away turn 1.
Yeah, you just go. If you roll a 3, you've only got like 2 or 3 boats. Just now.
This one is good for KO, I reckon.
Yeah, they're relatively far apart.
Yeah, this is fine. This is.
Oh yeah, I think if this was 18 inches apart, it would be a bit harder. But it's 22 inches apart makes it good. And then this is where we start getting into the weird ones, isn't it?
This is still okay.
We won't see this one.
It's a weird one, but it's okay.
These are.
This one I like.
This one might get play even though it's in the second table.
No, this one I like. This one is it's a weird one, but I like it.
So
the whole A and B.
And I think this one's okay because even though there's only 4, they're actually like the B. They've got the whole A and B thing, and
this has some mechanic behind it that requires forward planning. Yeah,
that was not. And the others, from now on, they're
shit.
Not yeah. The other
one. No, which one is the one where this one is still fine. This is fine. A wizard explodes. Okay, who cares?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like most of the time, you're playing 5 objectives, and you have corner deployment. So yeah, it's okay. This one is fine.
So overall, we think they're pretty good.
And the
sounds like we were saying. Yeah, it's good.
The towers is just stupid. So we have 3 that are weird. The rest is fine.
And mostly sort of okay for KO. So cool. Do the battle plans, having seen them, change your opinions on what you might put in KO lists? Or more to the point, do they change what battalions you might go for?
I mean, battle regiment, and also this GHB in general, Lightning Candles, lots of them, maybe 2.
Yeah, lots of them. Then a battle regiment gets very thin, very quickly. If you can have 3 heroes,
so maybe take one Incantor, 1 Admiral, and 1 Navigator. There's your heroes.
I like. Yeah, low drop is always good, but I still like the idea of having the Andorian battalion.
If you're doing that, then you're
the extra
definitely
dice.
taking
2 encounters, 1 navigator in there. 3 auto unbinds, extra primal dice.
So you're giving the navigator an arcane tome?
No, I don't need to. Just need 2 locus in that battalion.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to be locus in the battalion, but I just need to have 2 to get the extra dice.
Right. Yeah.
So I have the navigator with an orb, 2 encounters, probably an admiral because you always need an admiral.
And then 3.
And then
that's
whatever else you want. Some.
See, I'm thinking
just boats or
go low drop and take Voidstone Orb and have a null thingy.
You want to have a null thingy?
An adornment.
The icon.
Yeah, the icon on the app.
I don't know if an extra unbind or if you say, I'm going to be more or less safe for 2 turns because I have 3 auto unbinds. And then I'm just going to go.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to go anti-magic as well. So.
Yeah, then you don't need either. If you go anti-magic.
Yeah, you don't need like 2 night encounters if you come up against Khorne. Like.
No,
great.
But still, it's a Mystic Shield and it's.
Yeah, true.
They count as 10 on that one.
A night encounter is like getting Arcane Tome and Voidstone Orb in one. without having to increase your drops. So yeah, maybe you could go low drop there and do Admiral, Navigator, Knight Incanter, Battle Regiment.
I mean, we said we're not going to talk about lists, but I do like.
Yeah,
I think
we don't want to
the
go in
Incanter
detail.
had a good spell on his War Scroll.
It's like a charging.
Spirit
If you're
Storm,
18
inch, something one from run and charge rolls.
-1 to
range, so everyone is -1.
-1 to charge. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not amazing. It's
5 wounds, 3 up save. That's okay. I only own one. Maybe I need to buy a second.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Anti-magic.
Can you still get that cheap magazine that came with the free Knight Incantor?
I'd say I've been trying to find the issue with the £7 issue where you got 5 hex rays, but it's hard.
It's a Stormcast hero with a staff, or a dwarf with a staff that you call a dwarf Incantor. It's like it's a hero. Like converting a hero is easy.
There's also a named version, the Stormsire dude.
That Leagues of Votan guy with the hood and the staff. You could probably take him.
Move my chair up again. It's like the 4th time I've had to move my chair up. Yeah, but you could. How many navigators have you got? Do they look the same, or could you say one of them? Could you make?
Well, one of them is Bookman.
You need to be in a bigger base. He'd
Encounters has a 40.
Because I got one that's got like I made a different staff for him, but yeah, he's on the wrong side of the base.
Is there another ally wizard that we like?
Rune Lords.
No, wizards.
I can't remember what he does, but didn't like the Knight Arcanum go down in points?
Yeah, he pushes endless spells 6 inch further. And he can, if a Stormcast model would suffer the last wound and be slain, he can prevent that wound. That thing.
So he can do that to himself?
No, the only wizards we have are unfortunately just Stormcast. We don't really have a lot of options.
There's a
I hate that we cannot ally just cities.
Yeah,
why is it only
cities would be nice.
You know how good what's her name? Shooty lady witch hunter is now?
The one that the daughter and the dad.
Doralia.
Dorella Van Danst.
Doralia Van Danst. How it's like she 2 shots damage 4 against wizards.
But she can't shoot them because they're going to be within 3 inches of a.
She would be so great in KO. But no, we cannot.
She's not a dwarf. No dwarves allowed unless.
You could just shoot a unit with KO and then shoot the hero with her.
Yeah.
I'd love it. But no, we cannot.
Or just some of those Gur wizards, like the human wizards. Battle mages.
+2 to charge.
Yeah. With a
3d6 charge.
Battle ram.
Oh, you're with the battle ram,
Yeah, it's just annoying because Fire says they can take those guys. It's just KO that's super racist. No KO. Like no Dwarden only. Annoying. And I thought they'd fix that in the book, but no, they kept it.
And we can't even take Coalition anymore. Coalition Rune Priest would have been so good. A Rune Priest with that artifact with the Nullstone thing for extra unbinds,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think a Knight Incanter. I can't. There's also the Exorcist, but I can't remember what they do.
Isn't he a priest?
Oh, I don't know. He's a Stormcast hero. There's like too many Stormcast heroes.
There is one 90-point Stormcast wizard who doesn't get any bonuses to cast or dispel or auto unbind, but he just is a really cheap wizard. But I definitely the Incantor for that auto unbind. He's the pick, I think. People should be looking into some Incantor stocks.
How'd you spell Exorcist?
EXC.
Yeah, EXC. It doesn't exist
because it's probably like Don't they hyphenate it like Lord hyphen?
Lord X. Without the C. EXO.
Oh, X or X. Oh yeah, Exorcist.
He's a wizard, but he's 150 points. What does he do? Slain models cannot be returned to enemy units that are within 9 of friendly units. This is good against Soul Blight.
Your gets as well, like your no rally.
Purifying Blast, blah blah blah. Each enemy unit in range, bravery. Result is 12 or less. Different models. No. Yes,
there are some unique ones as well, but I think they're from like the war bands in the them and they're rubbish. Okay.
You can technically take the big Stormcast wizard on the Tor Lion thingy.
The Aventus Fire Strike.
Yeah, him.
Undead.
But yeah, very expensive for a big. I mean, he's got his big mount. He can do combat, but
he wouldn't Antorian Locus either, would he? So.
There's a Knight Arcana for 100 points. That's the new one from the box, from the Dominion box. The one with the mask.
Oh, the Lord Incantor?
No, a Knight Arcanum.
Knight Arcanum. Oh, okay. What do they do? Are they any good?
They buff Thunderstrike units, so that's useless. And Preparatory Endless Spells cannot pass across this unit or finish a move within 3 inches.
Oh, it'd be quite good to set him next to a boat so they can't put a Predatory Endless Spell over your boat and hit your whole army.
Yeah, it's weird.
Blaze from the Heavens.
Blah 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 blah. The Relictor is a priest.
Oh, with not being able to shoot heroes again, there's obviously all the heroes that you just pick points on the battlefield and do mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy with the
trumpety. There's 2 trumpety dudes.
The Vexillor.
Vexillor and the Heraldor.
With the Meteoric Standard.
Yeah.
24 inches, different mortal wounds. Did this combine with a Navigator?
And there's also the Heraldor as well.
Destroy your wizards. Terrain. Destroy their wizards, yeah.
The Castellante Wizard? No.
Yeah, there's some new choices, I guess.
Exorcist is a wizard. Oh no, we had that before.
Yeah.
Lord Veritan, is he a wizard? No, he's not. They have too many.
They have way too many heroes. Well, I didn't realize there was that guy. So he stops armies from units from regaining models. That's really cool against OBR.
Yeah, but 150.
Isn't it 9-inch range on a guy that walks 5 inches?
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you keep them around your units so that when they charge you, I guess maybe. Very niche. Yeah. Very niche.
There's also, I think it went down in points, the Knight Judicator of Gryph-hounds. That does a thing where I think it did.
And that does mortal wounds.
It, again, has a thing where it's not really a shooting attack, it's an ability. So get around Lookout, sir. And...
Yeah, it's how many points is he? Because he was still at 200. He was way too expensive.
Or you just take loads of chariots. How many chariots could you take? Because they're better than gun haulers.
Well, maximum.
Well, they're not.
2.
Nah.
Okay. We will talk about
180.
I will convince you eventually. When we go to lists, I will tell you the glories of 10 gun haulers.
Yes, we will cover some lists in more detail at a later date. I think we're just meandering now, so
this is a long enough episode. 2 hours 40 minutes. This is actually shorter than some of our big ones.
Yeah, well, we went quick, or we tried to. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks, Max and Kron.
Good luck in the new season.
Yeah.
May you kill many wizards. May you shoot many wizards.
We're going to be doing a show on lists at some point, so let us know what sort of lists you're thinking of running. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. And we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Remember, they can't cast spells if you fill them with lead.